Are we going?
We are recording.
That is a Jimmy Buffett from Sterling Nutrition.
Oh, well, I'm a big Buffett fan. So.
A loaded tea.
It's very fruity and tart and sweet. It's good, though. What is it? What's the flavors, supposedly?
Pina colada and peach.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's got a bunch of those Herbalife, whatever, vitamins and collagen, all the stuff that's supposed to make you healthier.
Oh, good, because I just went to the doctor the other day, and I'm not so healthy.
I think they lace it with cocaine. That's why I keep going back for more. Well, that is a joke. Sterling Nutrition does not lace products with cocaine. But is addictive like cocaine.
Addictive, yeah.
That's my weekend. I think I told you this. My weekend breakfast.
Yeah.
Me and Mallory, that's turned into date night or date morning.
Okay.
We'll go get a drink together, and we'll leave the miscreants here. And
They have a seated area, or
yeah, they've got like a little bar in there. They've got a little table with like crafts where kids can go in and color. It's always expertly decorated.
Really?
Fantastic, yeah. And they've got protein shakes. They have loaded teas. They have kid drinks. It's great.
Oh,
Sterling Nutrition, next to Satilla Grocery, who is also not a sponsor.
Somebody just saw you there the other day. Paul saw you. And
made fun of me. Yeah, I was walking out, and he was like, they'll let anybody in here. I was like, it's a grocery store.
So
like, it doesn't,
that's good for business.
It doesn't make sense. But he was with his wife, who is much more attractive than him. So
I think we're all in the same boat there.
Yeah. Paul outkicked his coverage. All right, so this is episode 2.
Yeah. Well, I guess, yeah.
You made a bunch of mini segments. But
yeah. And I made another one with my family sitting around one night being stupid. So.
Oh, how did that go?
It went pretty well. It's on that same thing. If you want to,
same channel.
If you have, yeah. Actually, we talked about doing this before, and we still may, probably will with Cooper or Grafton. But the youngest daughter came up with a game about Gen Z language versus and Tammy and I's understanding of what they're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Hijacking words, and they have all. So it's she had probably, I don't know, 25 of them seems like, and we didn't hit on many of them.
Yeah, we've had that conversation with Grafton. There's a lot of words where he's like, you don't know what this means, like sus and riz and stuff, and I was like, sus. It's not a word. It's not a word at all.
There was some acronyms in there. There was abbreviations. And there were some words I think are just hijacked that now have a new meaning.
Yeah. We also had that conversation because I said something about I used a word one time, and I was like, "Is that still used? Like, do you guys say that?" And he was like, "Yeah, we still say that." And I was like, "What does it mean?"
Yeah.
And he told me, I was like, "Wow, it's actually pretty close to what I used it for when I was in high school." And then he was like, "Well, I'm not using it anymore." I was like, "Okay."
Now that I know it's old.
Right. Okay.
They had one term. And even Jesse, the older one, who's only 2 years different. And some of them are like, depends on if it's in like an online community, like Ainsley's online a lot. Mm-hmm. They have a certain lingo. And then Jesse, who's not as what she called chronically online as Ainsley is, she had words that she didn't understand what Ainsley was talking about either. So we're all kind of guessing. But it was, well, they had a good time.
It's another connection we have. Your youngest daughter is Ainsley. My niece is Ainsley.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's spelled the same way.
Does she Ansley?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What was her inspiration for naming her? You know that?
Do not know that. I need to call my sister-in-law and ask. Because if I ask my brother, he's just going to be like, he's gonna do something I would do and just come up with like some outlandish story that's not true.
I made this up, but
and Katie's just going to say, yeah, it's a family name or something like that. That makes a lot more sense. So
yeah, Ainsley was inspired by, I don't know if you ever watched The West Wing or not back in the day, but there was a character on there. Her name was Ainsley, actually. Ainsley Hayes or Haynes. I can't remember her last name, but and Tammy loved that character. So Ainsley became Ansley. That was 20 years ago.
Okay. All right. Well,
that's not a very interesting story, but
we'll stick with the name stories for just another minute.
That's right.
Because Grafton was actually going to be James Robert, which James is my father's name. Robert is my wife's father's name. And James Robert Chappell, and that had a nice adult ring to it.
JR could have been his initials.
Yeah, I was going to go with Jimbo, and that's what torpedoed.
That's what ended that conversation.
When I started off, Mallory was like, "That's actually really good. I like that, James Robert Chappell." She's like, "That sounds good." I was like, "And I'm going to call him Jimbo." And she was like, "Neither of those names are allowed now." She's like, "You got to start from scratch."
That can never be an option.
But
So where did Grafton come from?
that is actually an interesting story.
It's a unique name. So.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I was playing like summer baseball, and we played this little small Christian school. And summer baseball, you know, it's not really taken serious. You're really out there just to get at bats, and, you know, pitchers are getting some work in over the summer before you get into fall. And, you know, back when I played, there was no year-round baseball. Mm-hmm. Everybody went straight to football or did something else in the fall time. And, you know, most kids played 2 or 3 sports, and there wasn't the specialty there is today. But so I was playing in the outfield, and anyone who's ever seen my body type, you know, I'm not an outfielder. I mean, I'm barely an infielder. So,
but you had some speed apparently because you played defensive back too.
Yeah, a little bit of speed. But my coach put me in right field in summer ball, so I was like, okay, that's great, not a problem. Go out there and outfield, and this kid comes up to bat, and he's, I don't know, like 6'2", maybe 97 pounds. I mean, the bat actually looks thicker than him. No. And so, like, I'm like, okay, well, obviously this kid's not going to pull anything. So I, like, shift over towards center and, like, walk in. Like, I could almost shake hands with the second baseman.
You're going through his pockets.
Yeah. And he hits, like, the first pitch he sees, and I just turn and watch it go over the top of the trees. And I was like, wow. So his second time up, like, I play normal position for a right fielder. And same thing. He hits the ball over the top of the trees. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So the third time, like, I am literally standing on the warning track, and he hits one, and I don't even move. Like, I just kind of watch it go over my head. And after the game, you know, we're shaking hands, and I grabbed him, and I was like, hey, man, what is your name? And he says his name was Grafton something. Yeah. And I was like, if I ever have a kid, his name is going to be Grafton. I was like, because that is the only reason you should be hitting baseballs like that, because nothing of your body type indicates that you could actually play baseball. And he started laughing. He said, I know. He said, I just got this weird swing. He's like, I've always been able to hit home runs. And I don't know whatever happened to him. Like, I never kept track of him. I mean, he went to, I think, Open Bible was the little private school in town that we were playing that day. And, you know, I should have kept track of him, but I didn't. But a few years later, when I was in college, I was working with the baseball team, and I wasn't on the baseball team. I was just working with the baseball team. And they had, like, a fall tryout, and I was there doing, like, a kids camp or something. And one of the coaches was like, hey, man, can you catch? We got this kid that's coming in to try out as a pitcher. I was like, you guys don't have a catcher? And they were like, no, they're all gone. And I was like, okay. So I caught this kid, and, you know, he threw a bullpen, threw about 40 or 50 pitches, and the coaching staff was like, all right. You know, he was like low to mid-80s pitching, and they were like, pitching staff's kind of full, really don't have a spot for you. And he was like, well, I can also play in the field. He's like, I play first base and in the outfield, and I can kind of hit. And they were like, whatever. So he ended up going to, I think, Georgia Southwestern, which is in Americus, I think.
Okay.
And we ended up playing them at the beginning of the season, in like the season hadn't started, so I guess it was more of like an exhibition, and Valdosta State was playing them, and this kid hit 2 jacks against Valdosta State, and I was standing outside the dugout. If anybody's ever been to the Valdosta State baseball field, like the stands, you can actually have a conversation with the head coach from like the corner of the stands. Okay. That's how close it is to the dugout.
It's like a county park.
And it wasn't the head coach at the time. It was the assistant coach. It was Shannon Jernigan. And he said, hey, Chappie. I said, yeah. He said, see that guy right there? I said, yeah. He's like, that's that kid you caught that bullpen last fall. And I was like, really? He said, yeah. He said, we're phenomenal talent evaluators. He said, that's his second home run of the game. I was like, what was that guy's name? He's like, it's Grafton something. Oh, wow. And so I immediately thought, I was like, that's the kid from Open Bible. So after the game, I went over there and was like, did you go to Open Bible? And he was like, what's that? So there's these 2 left-handed kids with the same name.
Oh, wow.
That played baseball, and I was like, this is going to happen.
Was Grafton, your son, left-handed by chance?
He writes left-handed, does everything else right-handed. Oh. So we thought he might be left-handed, like hitting everything, and he's like, no, I'm going to throw right-handed, I'm going to hit right-handed, I'm going to kick with my right foot, but I'm going to write left-handed. And do multiplication tables in my head that Dad has to get his phone out for because he's an idiot, you know. And then when I was working at the railroad, we actually had a line of locomotives that had they were the spirit of these towns that had been prominent railroad towns throughout the history of America. And one was Grafton, West Virginia. So I've got a photo of this locomotive, Spirit of Grafton, spelled the same way. And so anyone from West Virginia immediately goes, "Oh, are you guys from West Virginia? Is that why you named him that?" No. So
wow. To be such a unique name, there's a lot of story there.
Yeah.
So you almost had to name your firstborn.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Cooper, it's the first set of tires I bought. So,
excitement wore off after the first name.
Yeah. Second kid, whatever.
So there's some truth to that. There's a lot less pictures of the second child than there's the first child. Although with phones now, there's pictures of everybody. There's millions of them. But yeah, we don't have the catalog early on with Ansley as we did with Jesse.
Yeah. What was the not a big royal family guy, but what was the book? Spare? Wasn't that what Prince Harry Henry? What's his name?
Harry.
Yeah. And that he wrote the book he was just birthed as a spare in case William died.
Yeah.
Your life's super tragic, man.
Poor thing.
Terrible. Left the royalty because you wanted to seek privacy, and then came to America and immediately signed 92 Netflix.
Yeah.
And had all these people in your family constantly, and we just want a private life. Why do you keep showing up on TV?
Yeah. Why are you constantly on my television? I never understood that either. And there are people, I have friends that are big buffs of the royal family. I'm just not naturally interested in that.
I know my mom, she was a big Diana person, because I remember we were at my grandparents' house the day she died in the car crash, and her and her sisters were not bawling, but they were upset by it. And,
it was a big deal.
I think she kind of transcended that whole
yeah, she was kind of an outsider.
Yeah.
To that anyway.
Kind of like Markle, but people liked her.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is with. I don't dislike her or like her. I nothing her. Is that?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound good either.
Well, I just nothing you.
Yeah.
I don't care to think about you at all.
But I think a lot of people don't like her because they probably feel like she did something to
break up the family.
And I think there's a lot of people that are like, didn't you guys just say you wanted a private life, and now you're on TV everywhere doing interviews with Oprah and all this stuff? Don't lie, At some point, you marry a prince. Hey, my life's going to be a little bit different. More people are going to know about me, because I didn't even know she was on Suits until she married the guy.
I didn't know who she was, but I knew she was famous for some reason, but I didn't know why she was famous. So you sent me a couple of topics. So let's kick off with this one. Nazis.
Yeah. There was an article, and it delves into the transgender sport issue, but it was this girl in California, her and her teammates, they wore some girl power empowerment shirts or sport shirts or something like that, and the administration all labeled them as Nazis. And you hear that word more and more, especially over the last 5 years, usually directed at the president-elect. But do you think society, and I know public education has done a terrible job, and they're kind of handcuffed because of politics, but do you think there's not many people left from that time period? There's the people that were in concentration camps are either dead now or very close to being dead. So you don't, unless you go to some of those museums or you get an in-depth knowledge of what actually the Nazis did, it seems like a strong word to throw out to a group of teenage girls who just are like, hey, we want this to be ours.
Right.
We're not opposed to transgender people. We just don't want them to compete in our sporting events. And I think it's a valid statement and question, and there's a lot of negativity and stuff being thrown at that and going back and forth. And, you know, it's one of those topics that will never affect me the way it would affect, like, maybe you, because you actually have two girls. I don't know if they competed in sports or anything like that, but, you know, you don't see any trans men competing in sports, and there's probably biological reasons why. Like, yeah, it's
you'd get killed. You're
right.
not going to see a trans male,
you know,
linebacker at Division I college.
Right. Like we talked a little bit about like Caitlin Clark,
right.
Last episode, and there's a girl that plays for USC, Juju Watkins, and she is phenomenal. Like, there's some people that think like she might actually break Caitlin Clark's scoring record.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
I saw something the other day where George Karl, George Karl, he was an NBA coach. He coached, I think he coached the Nuggets, which I think his son coaches the Nuggets now.
Really?
Yeah.
Kind of a big guy, bald head. Yeah.
Yeah. And he made a comment about how phenomenal she was. And it's like, yeah, she is. And he's like, she could play with the guys. And it was just like, womp, 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 womp. And I was like, come on, George. Like, let's be honest. I mean, I remember a few years ago, the U.S. women's national team played an exhibition game against a high school team in Texas, boys, and the boys team beat them like 6-1.
The one surprising,
and like no one was surprised by that. Like, it was just like, well, you know, boys are faster, taller, stronger. Yeah, it's like biology and genetics.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that awkward. But George, man, like,
it's
she wouldn't. It would be worse like than LeBron's kid, who has struggled mightily against men. Now I think he's actually doing a little bit better in the G League, but the athleticism, like, I don't think she would be able to get a shot off.
No,
probably not. She's 6'2". Like, that is Steph Curry is 6'1", and he is considered very tiny. And if anyone in the world tells me, well, she's as good as Steph Curry, like, you know, you're just not allowed to speak anymore. Like, it's just,
and she may be able to stand on the 3-point line if nobody's bothering her and just shoot baskets.
Oh yeah.
But you put a live action in the game, you got 5 people trying to take the ball from you. There's no way. There's no way.
I would tell you this right now. If you took I think the New York Liberty won the NBA or the WNBA championship, and they have like an all-star team. They have Breanna Stewart. I think she played at UConn. Sabrina, I'm not even going to try and say her last name. It's like Ionesca or something. She played at, I think, Oregon. A couple other players that their team was just stacked. If they played the Celtics, who won the NBA championship, I'm not 100% convinced that they couldn't get across half court.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they could score. Because Breanna Stewart is like 6'5", so now you're I think she might be the tallest player on their team. So the tallest player on your team is now the same height as like the point guard.
Yeah, that's right.
So
it's just physically, it's a different.
And Breanna Stewart is, I don't know, she's probably like right at 200 pounds. I mean, she's very thin looking. Like, Jason Tatum looks like one of the sculptures of Adonis or David in Greek culture, and he's 6'9". Like, could you imagine some kind of post up? It would be like Cooper, like, playing basketball against me, like where he like goes to move me and I don't move, and then he turns around to shoot and I don't swat it, I just catch it. Like, I think, and you know, and people they're like, oh, you're not giving them enough credit, and it's like, they're phenomenal athletes. Like, if you put them up against 5 average guys, they would embarrass the hell out of them.
Yeah.
You know, but when you put them up against other world-class men athletes, like...
Yeah, I think there's an interview with Serena Williams. They asked her about that. Because that's the one that everybody likes to bring up. Well, Serena could compete, and she'll tell you no. She wouldn't be in the top 100.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah.
She was like, I can't beat a top amateur.
No.
And she was like, their serves are like 30, 40 miles an hour faster than women.
And she's the greatest female player of all time. Probably.
All time.
Yeah.
Now, could she beat like me in tennis? Absolutely.
It wouldn't be close.
Yeah, I wouldn't score a point.
Probably wouldn't get sweaty. Just watch the balls fly by me.
But like her and Roger Federer, or who's the Spanish guy that has the gigantic left arm and the regular right arm because all he does is hit left-handed. He just retired.
Oh.
He used to wear the capri pants all the time because it was awkward. But he's Spanish. He can make it happen.
He can get away with that. No, but and all that, to circle back around to the Nazi comment, because in the whole public school education of, and I can include myself in this group because because I knew it was the topic for today. I kind of just Googled it right before I came here. What is Nazism? What is a Nazi party? What is a Nazi? And it's somewhat complex. Their descriptions of it. But yeah, but what they were. It's nowhere close to what these girls or anybody else they call it. Even Trump, he's not a Nazi. That's not what that is.
No.
And I learned that basically this morning. I mean, to any level of detail anyway, because I think you're right. I think people don't know what that word means. They just associate it with something bad and evil, and they'll label somebody with that.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
If you look up enough of the definitions or articles, you might be able to carve out like far right. Like, yes, there are people in this country that are far right. But they're like far right in this country is like anti-abortion.
Right.
And it's like they're not wanting to kill people.
No.
The Nazis kind of took it to another level. Like they
step on the gas once they got in power.
Between them and Stalin and Chairman Mao.
Yeah,
each one of them like, hey, hold my beer. Watch us do an extermination.
And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the language differences too. People adopt words and change the meaning of them. And if you look just the Wikipedia of Nazism or Nazi Party or Nazi, they describe it as a far right socialist party, which seems odd.
Does seem odd.
So the whole thing's flopped around, but that's one of those words is thrown around, and it means what. And to your point, the people that were involved with that or were around when that was going on have mostly passed away at this point. So I don't think it hits. Those people would be upset.
Yeah, those people would be like, these are not Nazis.
That's right.
They may be assholes.
Yeah,
but they're not.
They're definitely assholes. But they are not Nazis.
So, and it was one of those things that I think, like Nazi has replaced the word asshole. That person doesn't agree with me. They're a Nazi. Yeah, let's dial it back a little bit.
Words have meanings. Yeah. Let's leave that alone. If you want to invent a new word, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But just don't take that one and hijack it to mean something
I have
different.
no problem with somebody calling somebody far right. Like, hey, they're a far right extremist. Okay, well, I'll have that conversation.
Yeah.
They're a Nazi.
Okay. That's a different thing.
Let's take a step back. All right. So
yes.
It was something that triggered me when I sent you that article. Because you hear it all the time now.
Yeah.
And it's usually somebody screaming it that's not making a bunch of sense anyways. But I just feel like if somebody from, that era would just be like, hey, that person's not really a Nazi.
Let me show you some pictures.
They are an asshole.
Yeah.
You can call them an asshole. Not a Nazi.
And no one's going to argue with you, likely.
Yeah. In fact, if you call them an asshole, former concentration camp detainee will stand next to you and be like, this person is an asshole.
Absolutely.
But when you say they're a Nazi, I haven't seen them exterminate 6 million people, or blame all of their problems on a single group of individuals. Now, Trump does blame a lot on immigrants, but those,
And he's not trying to kill them.
No, he just wants to send them back to the countries that
and
they
their
came
whole
from.
entire families. Yes, you go back until you get your shit straightened out.
And from what I've read, he just wants to send the ones back that have criminal records. I don't think he really cares about the ones that are coming over here just working.
Yeah, what he says, that's exactly what he said. And I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. I think nobody's going to get their head around the logistics of executing that task. Because even me, it's like, if you want to take everybody's guns, it's going to be an impossible task. you're going to go to war.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of dead government workers.
Yeah, if you try to take everyone's gun and trying to round up every illegal alien, you got to vet the whole group. Anybody has no. I don't know
the whole gun thing. That might be one of Vivek and Elon might be like, hey, if we want to do a quick reduction of government forces, we could just do a gun collection. That would do it.
The herd pretty quickly. Yeah, I don't think that's going to ever happen either.
And I wonder if that's why a lot of countries, which, the United States is pretty strategically placed between two gigantic oceans, but, I always resort back to my favorite film, or one of my favorite films, Red Dawn, Patrick Swayze at his best.
Oh, yeah.
And I think about, like, do you think a country, because they're over here and they're like, God damn, there's like shootings multiple times a day in that country. Do we want to invade? Like, we don't have to worry about the military. Like, we're walking through neighborhoods and you got Cooper in his, ghillie suit with a rifle sticking out the window, taking crack shots at us. Like, I feel like, you look at some of the wars overseas where there's a lot of that close quarter combat, like house to house. And I think people would just be like, Jesus, every American owns a gun. Like, it's a nightmare.
It's not a tree we want to climb, yeah.
I mean, even the vice president was like, I got a Glock.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Yeah. Especially a Democratic vice president. Yeah, I don't know. The gun thing is I don't think it's ever going to make both any group happy. I don't agree with, do we need fully automatic 50 caliber machine guns? Probably not.
No, we don't.
It's that sliding subjective line to where do you draw it. I get I don't own a gun. I have owned guns before. I just don't currently own a gun, but I have zero issue with anybody legally owning a firearm.
Yeah.
But you can't police the people that don't have a license or whatever. It's impossible to go figure that out.
And there's no way, they're talking about, well, somebody can go before a judge, and it's like, whatever that judge's political leanings, he could just be like, nope, this person's not, So I don't, there needs to be something done. But I just find it, you had another school shooting a few days ago, and they said it was like the 80th school shooting this year. And I was in high school when Columbine happened, and, it just seems like the moral standing and the value of life in this country just continues to trickle down because, I think it was easier to buy a gun in the 50s and 60s. Like, I remember,
I think so.
Uncles and stuff telling me they were like 13, 14, they could go buy a shotgun. I don't know about handguns because handguns weren't as big then as they are now, but it's like I think access to guns was actually easier, especially for younger people, but there weren't the number of school shootings.
Right. And there's something, I think you're on the right path too. There's something to be said about the whole, people don't kill people, or guns don't kill people, people kill people. Guns have been around forever, and like I said, and I know the news media blows everything up, and they like to get their clicks as well, but these happen more often, way more often than they did just 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So I don't know what causes that, but it's the demise of society in general. But I wish they would get their finger on it. Until they can do that, though, they do need to kind of prepare themselves for that scenario better. Yeah. And I don't think we do that now. I don't think our local high school, I think my youngest daughter graduated 2 years ago. I don't think they had any sort of metal detector. I think they might have one now at Brunswick High. But
yeah, we actually saw one last night because we went to the middle school wrestling tournament, and that's what one of the kids was like, what is that? I was like, it's a metal detector. And they were like, why do they have a metal detector? So nobody brings a gun or a knife in, and they were like, Jesus, is this where I'm going to school? And I was like,
it's kind of scary.
Yeah. So, but it is. And I don't know, but circling back to the original Nazi thing, it's, I just think we need to do a better job. Like, if somebody's like, oh, that person's a Nazi, I think, like, especially on TV, I think people need to be like, all right, time out. Let's either create a new word or let's use a different word, because that person is not a Nazi.
Or if they're going to use it, throw it down at the bottom, and this is the definition of Nazi.
Yeah.
So
what is like the community notes now that they have on Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called? where, somebody gets on there and they're like, this is this, and then it's like, community note, that is wrong. Okay.
Here's the correction. We'll let you post whatever you want to post, but we do have to assign the truth to this.
So, for anyone listening to this, don't use Nazi.
Don't use Nazi.
I mean, now if somebody's dressed up in a Nazi uniform
Right,
and they're,
Nazi stash and
screaming about
Hitler.
socialistic ideals and how the Aryan race is going to retake over the world, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you can call that
sling it
person a
way,
Nazi.
yeah. Just to get somebody's attention.
But guy in a business suit who, doesn't want to pay back your student loan.
Yeah. Speaking of the gun thing, and we hadn't planned to talk about this, not that we'd really planned anything, the United Healthcare guy that got shot by the young, I think Ivy League educated guy.
Mm-hmm. Went to the same university as President-elect.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. Shout out, Penn U.
Penn. The reaction to that has been somewhat surprising, where I've seen people
celebrate
murder, like a Robin Hood kind of character.
Yes.
That's another weird twist to this. I wouldn't expect to see come. I mean, granted, healthcare is a wreck and the insurance companies are a problem, but the murder of someone on the street is not how to resolve that.
And let's be honest, that's the CEO. Does he have a lot of day-to-day, declining, is he working with the board to decide what is
He's
the
probably
best?
setting real high-level policies that trickle down to people doing something to execute that goal.
But at the end of the day, we're celebrating someone being murdered.
Yeah, a father of 2 children.
Not someone being brought before, Congress or someone being interviewed by the media and just getting, run through the ringer.
Yeah.
Like they've kind of been doing to the president-elect. Exactly. We couldn't do that, but, and I think we talked about this briefly in the first episode. Country does a shit job of taking care of people because we talked about the homeless situation. And it is something that needs to be resolved, like Medicare, Medicaid, all of the complexities. And I don't know, maybe this Doge Department of Government,
Clean some of that up.
Maybe they're going to come in and say, hey, look, there's way too much red tape. This is how you've got all of these employees that it's just like one office to the next office to the next office for you to get anything done.
Yeah.
And we've got to simplify it. It's like I read somewhere the tax code, like in the 50s, the tax code was like a page and a half, and now it's like 2,700 pages.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And it's like,
there's a ways in that, to me anyway, in my simple brain, it could be a way to simplify that across the board. Whether it be a national sales tax or whatever it is, to make a system so complicated. And I assume the motivation for that was to provide loopholes for the ultra wealthy to be able to escape it, where we can't really do that.
Yeah. The more complex it is, the longer it gets tied up in court, and the easier it is.
I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars trying to get my taxes done every year. I'm just going to do the short form. So here you go. Yeah. So that was an interesting reaction to that. I didn't expect that. I know we're kind of twisted around now, but I didn't really see that coming.
Yeah, and again, shout out to the University of Pennsylvania because one of their professors was like, "This is great."
Oh my God.
Like, okay, I don't, like you've had 2 attempts on the president-elect's life. Yeah. You just had a CEO shot, and you're putting out there that when somebody does something bad, that we can just execute them.
Yeah.
And I thought liberals were the ones that were against the death penalty. It's
they're
weird.
A lot more violent. They're more violent than I thought they were going to be. 2 assassination attempts, or one actually got shots off at Trump.
So,
yeah, it's a weird time.
I guess they've jumped off of that moral rock, like death penalty stuff will start shooting through the roof.
Oh, we can kill him. Okay.
Yeah,
this is a better idea.
Are they still executing like 32 people a week in Texas?
They did step up their game. Most people were fighting the death penalty, and I think Ron White said Texas put in an express lane.
But even in that state, like I think people are like, oh yeah, they'll execute you for anything. I think I read one time like they average like 4 or 5 executions a year,
Really?
which still seems a lot, like a lot. But I mean, Texas is what, the 3rd or 4th populous state, and it's a very, very extreme, like to the right kind of state. So you would think that there would be a lot more executions than 4 or 5 a year. Which people on death penalty, they're on they're on death row for years due to appeals and all those kinds of things. So I don't know. Maybe they just take care of it before it actually gets to trial.
Yeah, maybe.
Put him in the wrong cell and like I don't know what happened. We came back the next day and his neck was turned around backwards. So, but. All right, let's move on to some lighter.
Well, you admit
lighter fare.
We almost had a way to get there earlier, but the one thing I did put time into, and this is also your topic suggestion, was, and I think we might have hit on it before, but we didn't really get into it. Was movie villains, our favorite movie villains.
Yeah,
and this is the one thing I actually
did do research on.
Yeah.
You shove Nazism into the corner. I'll just Wikipedia that real quick before I head over there.
I got all these topics in front of me. I'll use this one.
Yeah, and just to give you, I've got Screen Rant, IMDb, and AFI all still pulled up. So
that's kind of the same thing I did. I kind of compiled lists and put them in one and then chose my favorites.
So, and I think we talked about 2 different categories.
Yeah.
One, we talked about like worst bad guys ever in a movie. And then we talked about,
and by worst, you mean
like you watch a movie and you're
character.
like, Jesus,
oh, yeah,
like I can't wait for this person to die.
That's right.
I can't wait for this person to go to Texas.
Yeah, do something bad.
But and then we talked about a category of like bad guys that I feel like I could sit down and have a beer with, and they'd be interesting and fun. Right. And
they're somewhat likable.
Yeah, so let's start with the likable ones, the likable bad guys first. And I'm going to throw out the one that I love because, 1, I love him as an actor, but 2, I think he played the role perfectly. Hans Gruber from Die Hard.
I have him on my list, too.
Like, I feel like I could have a beer with that guy, and he would be phenomenal. Like, he would tell me about all the crazy gigs that they have pulled up until, he got thrown off the top of Yakatomi. But, he just seems like a likable guy.
He was in the movie. He didn't play in that part.
Yeah. Even when he shot, what's his face in the face, who was the guy that called him Booby. I'm your white knight, Hans, Booby.
Oh, yeah.
Ellis.
Yeah, right.
Ellis. Yeah, he shot Ellis in the face.
I liked Hans a lot more than I liked Ellis.
Yeah, I didn't like Ellis.
No, but I liked Ellis.
No. I think there were audible cheers when he got shot. Like the only person that was upset was Bruce Willis.
Yeah. He pissed him off, where everybody else was happy about it. I was ready for him to go.
Like you didn't even hear the people outside like scream. Like the gunshot went off and they were all like,
"Oh, finally!"
God,
I've been wanting to do that myself for months. No, yeah, I like he plays that role. He plays a bad guy pretty good in most of it. Or I think he's passed away now, isn't he? Didn't we say that?
Yeah, he passed away a few years ago.
But he was also. I'm not a big Harry Potter guy, but I did see some of those movies. He played.
Yeah, he was kind of one of the bad guys in that. And kind of did the turn there in the very last movie.
Yeah.
I think he had a huge crush on Harry Potter's mom.
That's right.
So he was secretly over the years taking care of Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's a good one. The people we like. I was looking through my list here. A lot of these are more on the darker side. But, let's see. This is kind of a weird one. I don't think I want to spend time with most of these people. But if you ever saw the movie, shit, I got it written down here somewhere. It's a Clint Eastwood movie. Unforgiven.
The
Western.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite actors anyway. It was Gene Hackman plays a character called Little Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the character. He was a nice guy. He was like a social guy that got around, but man, he was mean.
Yeah.
And glad when he died at the end of it too. But he's somebody I could spend time with without, And I think if as long as you're not starting problems with him, you'll be fine. but a well done character for sure. But yeah, a kind of a likable villain.
So here's my nerd alert. When you talk to Chuck Chappell, you don't really get vibes of like this guy's a nerd. Maybe you do. I don't know. But
We just don't tell you.
yeah, Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
The original 3 episodes are like way up there in my top 20 movies ever. And so, Darth Vader.
He was on every list I looked at last night.
Yeah. And they have him as like the top villain. And I don't understand that because Luke Skywalker is actually the villain. Right?
Is he?
Yeah. First, I mean, think about the 3 episodes, right? First episode, bad stuff happens to Darth Vader, right? Ends badly for him. Second episode, which is The Empire Strikes Back, is, and I saw it. I went to IMDb, and based on IMDb scores with Rotten Tomato or whatever, Empire Strikes Back is like number 20 all time. And it is widely considered one of the best movies
that was a great
ever.
Movie, yeah.
And so Darth Vader gets a W, right? And then you go to the 3rd episode, and Darth Vader sacrifices his life to save everybody.
Yeah.
He's the good guy. Why is he the bad guy?
I don't know. It's an interesting twist. I've always thought evil too. He was always just scary.
Yeah, it's the breathing apparatus, the
James
mask.
Earl Jones voice. Yeah.
Who recently passed.
Yeah. He was the voice of many of those,
That's another list we'll do because I brought it up to
one.
my mother, and I was like, top 5 greatest voices of all time, and she was like right behind Sean Connery. And I think that was for other reasons, but Sean Connery does have a great voice too.
Yep. Morgan Freeman. Yep,
that's another good one.
Yeah. We'll scratch that off and put it on the topic for later because that's going to require some thought as well.
So we've got Hans Gruber, and the reason I want to hang out with Darth Vader is, like right now, like if I wanted a beer, like he could just float one over here.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the same thing he used to like
magic.
Kill those people, like where he would just squeeze his fingers and they would choke out and die. Be like, can you do that with a beer? Because that's the best party trick ever.
If I point to someone, can you kill them?
But then would he be mad because he can't really drink a beer, right? Because that mask.
Yeah.
Would he have to take the mask off?
Because
then he starts
breathing
like
apparatus,
breathing,
wasn't he?
like all weak, like
he dies almost within minutes.
So he would probably float the beer over and then choke me out. So, but
Little Bill and Darth Vader and
Hans Gruber.
This is a bad character, and I wouldn't want to spend time with him, but I did like the character. This particular one, anyway. The Joker in The Dark Knight.
And that was in the top 100 movies. I think it was actually ahead of The Empire Strikes Back.
I haven't watched the new Joker movies, but I don't think I'm going to enjoy them like he.
No, it's an extreme disappointment, and I kind of think that role was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And
I think he did it.
I'm not a huge fan of Oscars being handed out to comic book movies.
Yeah.
But he crushed it in that role.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was phenomenal. And you hate because you hear of all the stuff that he did to like get into character, probably led to what ultimately was his suicide.
Right.
But I mean, like you get chills. Like I still watch it and I get chills.
Oh, yeah.
God damn, that guy is fucking scary.
He was crazy. Yeah, I don't want to spend time with him. I don't want to drink a beer with him.
And there was like no motive. I think Michael Caine said it when he was trying to explain, he was given some little psalm or parable about some jewel thief that they were, when Michael Caine, before he was Alfred the butler.
Oh, yeah.
And he was talking about, like, we're trying to find this guy and come across this kid, and they've got a ruby the size of your fist. And he was just throwing away everything he was stealing. And, Batman's like, well, why steal it? And he's like, some people just want to see the world burn. And I thought that was the best because, like, this dude, like, he set a boat full of money on fire.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that could buy a lot of gasoline and explosives. But,
that was a wild
like,
character.
There was no motivation. It was just like pure anarchy.
Yeah.
Like that's all I'm here to do. It was just pure anarchy. So I would not want to have any kind of drink with him because
I'd be
he
a fart.
cut my mouth open or stick a pencil in my eye.
You'd do that one from a distance for sure. I'd be pen pals with him.
Here's another good one. I wouldn't want to hang out with him, and I don't know if he was such a great bad guy or if Val Kilmer made him into the bad guy, but Johnny Ringo from Tombstone.
I thought about him too.
Because you got was it Booth Powers was the guy that was leading the Cowboys.
Yep.
And there's like one scene where he's like, God damn, I feel bad when I die and Johnny takes over. Like he's going to kill everybody. And he just, what was the guy's name? He was in Terminator. He was in Alien. Michael Ben.
Oh, yeah.
It's a weird last name, but he played that role. And if it wasn't for Val Kilmer, like that would have been the best acting of that movie. Yeah. I mean, Kurt Russell did a great job. Sam Elliott did a great job.
But those are the stars.
Val
Kilmer was
Paxton did a great job. But Val Kilmer, like when you talk about Tombstone, the first thing anybody says is, I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah.
That's it. And I mean, it was just, he played that role. Oh, shout out Doc Holliday from Valdosta, Georgia.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Dentist before he became gunslinger gambler.
Tuberculosis victim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hannibal Lecter. I would love to have a conversation with Hannibal Lecter.
Through glass? Through
a glass wall. Because he ate, a flute player for his poor playing. I don't...
He ate somebody's, was that the one he ate, the liver with fava beans?
Maybe. No, he fed it to the board of the orchestra.
Yeah, that was a scary guy. He won an Academy Award for that too, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And in any of the movies, because there was two others after Silence of the Lambs. There was the one where they changed
the book. It was
Clarice. They changed the actress. I think it was Julianne Moore that did the second one. But they did
that Red Dragon or whatever was the
Red Dragon was supposed to be
a
before Silence of the Lambs.
And that was that guy from CSI that was in that movie, wasn't it? The original CSI.
No, I think Edward Norton was in the prequel.
I'll think about something different then.
The one after Silence of the Lambs.
But I got him on my list as well.
That was the one that had what's his face, the great character actor. He was in the Batman movies. He was Jim Gordon in the.
Oh yeah. He's in everything. What is his name? I can't believe we don't know.
My mom had this conversation the other day, and I had to look it up.
I hate that because
he's on this list a couple of times. Leon the Professional. He was the DEA agent in that.
She's gonna hit you with iron.
No,
good Lord, no.
Yeah, nobody wants to see this. They barely want to hear it.
No, he was the bad guy and a good bad guy too. Not on my list, but the movie with Denzel Washington, where he's blind, but you don't know it until the end. Spoiler alert.
Oh, Book of Eli.
Yeah, Book of Eli.
I'm looking it up right now. Our producer is not here today.
No, Jamie's took the day off.
As soon as I say it, we're going to be mad. Gary Oldman.
Oh, gosh. I knew that.
He was in all the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
He's in everything.
Yeah, he's in almost most every movie.
I was telling my mom, he's The Darkest Hour. He plays Winston Churchill, and he wears a bunch of prosthetics because he's not a big guy, but Winston Churchill was. He played Harry S. Truman in the Oppenheimer movie. Same thing, wore a bunch of prosthetics. But
he can do anything.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal actor.
And he's British.
Mm-hmm. He does all of these, just like all of those. I don't think there's any American actors anymore. I think they're all foreign. They all do.
They just fake the American
and
accent.
what's amazing is they do American accents, and it's great. And then we send like Johnny Depp or somebody to do a fake British accent, and it's ridiculously terrible.
And they compare British accents to. I've seen people compare these two. It's kind of hard to make the connection to a Southern accent, but you also can't. If people fake a Southern accent, it's immediately detectable.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
people
watching.
that's, from the here. Anyway.
Have you seen Logan Lucky?
No, I started to watch. It's on my Netflix.
Yeah.
Account.
So it's, I enjoyed the Ocean's 11 movies, and it's, there's actually a part in the movie where someone's being interviewed after the little job they pull, and they said they're calling it Ocean 7-Eleven because it's a bunch of rednecks. But everyone in that movie uses a Southern accent, and it is just over the top,
But the James Bond guy, what's his name? We're not going to be able to remember his name, but we know who we're talking about.
Daniel Craig.
Yep. There we go. Got a winner.
And by the way, he makes the movie.
Oh, yeah.
He is phenomenal in it. And his accent, while you can, it's fake, but he does.
But I think it's easier for British people to do a Southern accent.
Yeah. And his name in the movie is Joe Bang, which, I mean, come on. So, but it's a really
Was he a
good,
villain in that movie?
he was a part of
I didn't see the movie.
are the guys from Ocean 11 villains? I mean, they all robbing a casino.
See, that's where I kind of got down that rabbit hole last night. Is it it's a bad person, I guess, or a bad deed they're executing, but don't.
I mean, they did rob a racetrack, so I'm sure a bunch of NASCAR fans are upset. But
they'll be fine. NASCAR makes plenty of money. Yeah, this guy this was just one of my favorite actors of all time anyway, although he's run into some trouble in the last 5 or 10 years. And I did limit it to films. I didn't dip into TV shows, although he's been a great villain in both. Which one I want to choose here? I like this one. Kevin Spacey as Verbal Kent in The Usual Suspects.
He's
somebody I would spend time with.
He was on the list a couple of times.
He's on my list 3 times.
Because he was the bad guy in Seven.
Yep, he's on there for that. You don't see him a lot in that one. He does. He executed her like horrific.
Yeah, sex trafficking, the abuse of other actors, and it seems like he's ducked some of the legal issues.
But the reputation, I looked up his net worth the other day, it was negative $2 million.
I mean, he was crushing that House of Cards, which I've yet to see an episode of. But
you gotta watch that.
Everybody says it's phenomenal.
Dark? Yeah.
And they were like, he was crushing it, and then all of a sudden, he is gone, and Jenny.
He was that show. Yeah,
Jenny becomes president. So.
Yeah, I'm actually rewatching it right now. I'm up to season. I think he's in there through at least 4 seasons, I think.
So I got the IMDb top 100 up, and The Dark Knight is number 3.
Oh, wow.
Right behind The Godfather. And then number 1 is The Shawshank Redemption, which is a phenomenal movie.
Oh, yeah.
And that makes me think of
like Stephen King movie.
The prison guard in that movie.
In that movie?
Ultimate bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
That I would not want to. But I don't know who's worse. Is it the warden that's worse, or is it his muscle?
They're both bad. I mean, the warden ultimately is in charge, so he takes the hit. But, the guard is just mean. He's just a mean person.
Because he was also in a couple of movies, and these are Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
He was dead, and they buried him, and he came back to life and started killing everybody.
I don't think I saw that movie. I read the book. I didn't ever see the movie.
Yeah, you're not missing anything.
The books are always better.
And then the original Highlander with Christopher Lambert. He was that guy. I don't know his name.
He plays the same character in every movie for the most part? Or?
Kind of.
Yeah.
But what's weird is, I saw the Shawshank Redemption, and he was this horrific prison guard. And then he was a prison guard in the movie The Hurricane with Denzel Washington about the boxer.
Yep.
And he was like the nicest guy in the world. And I was just like, when is he going to pull out his nightstick and beat somebody to death?
I don't believe you.
So.
Yeah, he's on here. Yeah, I got Frank Underwood's his character in House of Cards, Kevin Spacey, and then John Doe for Seven. But I really, Usual Suspects is one of my favorite movies. The one I didn't write down, which I should have because I always list as my favorite movie of all time, was Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. He's a villain to a certain extent. I mean, he is at the end of it, he's the bad guy. But man, what a character! It was so well done. because he
It's
does
one of
everything
the
good.
one of the best monologues ever.
Yeah, they said he nailed it every time. He did it just like that in rehearsal. Every time the table read was just like that. So it's pretty impressive. But I didn't list it because I don't know. I didn't the box I put these villains in. He didn't really fit. So
That had a pretty good cast.
yeah,
Kevin Bacon, Tom Cruise, Demi Moore, Jack Nicholson.
yeah, they did a pretty good job of putting that team together.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, there's pretty much anybody.
Captain Hendricks. I'm trying to think. There was the guy with the glasses that was like the second in command.
JT. Oh, so I'm glad you mentioned him because he's on my list.
Really?
But not for that movie.
Well,
And it may be a movie you've never. This is my sleeper.
Okay.
It's a movie called Breakdown.
Oh my goodness.
Do you remember this movie? Have you seen it?
First rated R movie I ever went to see. My mom might hear this and yell at my uncle.
Come throw the barn door open.
So up the road in Savannah,
Yeah.
my uncle, who my cousin and me were college roommates. I didn't wait until college to see my first R-rated movie, but
Okay.
I was in either middle school, I think, and he took us to go see Breakdown with Kurt Russell,
Yep.
and I always forget her name, but she was the wife from Apollo 13.
Yep.
And it had, JT was in it. It had the guy with the long, like he's always got the long hair and the mustache, and he's always kind of a bad guy in everything. And it also had this little squirrely guy who was in U571. He was the German translator, but he was in it. But yeah, very, very dark movie, and he played that role good.
He did so good. I mean, that's the only movie I've ever been to that at the end when he dies and that truck goes off the bridge or whatever, people stood up and clapped. They're so happy he's dead. So that's and Tammy, my wife, she reminded me of him a couple nights ago. I was like, oh yeah, I do remember that. It's been a long time ago. Yeah, that's been, I don't know, when the movie was in the 90s, I guess.
Yeah, he was in what was that movie with Samuel L. Jackson where Samuel L. The Negotiator. I was about to say he was the negotiator.
He's on another one that's a character actor in a bunch of movies.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the list, the AFI, which is the American Film Institute's top 100, or it's actually top 50 villains and heroes. But number 6 is Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life. And don't get me wrong, that dude is evil in that movie, but he just seems like a banker. To be in the top 10, like, damn, Mr. Potter.
That's just a loan officer.
And like Scrooge is nowhere. Mr. Scrooge is nowhere in this list. I feel like he was a lot worse than Mr. Potter. But Nurse Ratched, she's in the top 10.
Have you seen that movie?
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
Yeah,
Nest.
I never saw it. She was in every list. I looked at last night too.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I didn't pick her. Anything I didn't see. I do have one that I didn't see that Tammy, the mere mention of this movie, sends shivers up her. And it did last night. And I've never, like I say, never seen the movie. Mommy Dearest, Joan Crawford character. I think Faye Dunaway played it.
Oh,
Tammy hates it, man. I guess she's seen it when she was young or something. And I don't know if it holds up over time, but to this day she can't look at that like movie poster.
That and there's another one, Misery, with Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates.
Like, I remember watching that movie and like, I love Kathy Bates.
Oh, she's
like
great.
She's been in a ton.
She can play
of
anything.
shit.
She was in The Office.
Yeah, she was in The Office, and she actually did a Southern accent that wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
But holy cow, I think my favorite was her in Primary Colors, where John Travolta was the twin of Bill Clinton. Did you ever see that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so it's this Southerner who's running for president who has a bunch of issues with infidelity. No commonality whatsoever with the guy that's president. And she was like they hired her to get dirt on the guy he was running against. And she played that role like she was like, she just played it great. Like
She's one who could do anything.
good. I haven't seen, she's in that new, they everything's
Matlock,
a reboot now.
yeah.
Matlock, I kind of want to see that. I think
My mom watches it and keeps asking me if I've watched it because she loves it.
Yeah, I love the original Matlock.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. All right, here's one. Well, actually, two. HAL 9000, terrifying.
I didn't see the movie, but that was on every list I see.
That voice is
because it's not what you would consider to be a scary voice. I've seen clips of it.
It's almost soothing, but he just continues to kill everybody. That's right. And then right behind him, Amon Goth. Do you know who that is?
No.
That is Ralph Fiennes from Schindler's List.
Oh, I did see the picture. I didn't remember the name. I haven't watched that movie either.
And that is I think we talked about it, kind of like the Joker. Like this guy just wakes up in the morning, goes out to his balcony, takes out his sniper rifle, and just starts picking off
just loves his job.
Jews in the concentration camp across the street. And you're just like,
something's wired wrong. Yeah.
And it's a real person, which adds,
it's even creepier, yeah.
So,
I don't know. There's
the shark from Jaws was listed.
I've seen that too. The only other ones that have really stand out, that guy's name, J.T. Walsh's character in Breakdown was Red Bar. I didn't remember that. But.
Terminator. The original Terminator.
I liked because that's T-800.
Yeah.
And there's T-1000, who's also good. I like that movie too.
But I still struggle to watch the original Terminator because I'm like, it is terrifying. The T-1000 is a little bit more toyish and funny, and I forget that actor's name. He does a great job too.
He's a bunch of things.
He's
Robert.
It is Robert something. But yeah, the Terminator, and I think it's because he just doesn't talk a lot. Like it's just that police station scene is terrifying. Yeah. He kills the entire police department.
And he's just
and it's just like he's just I'm here. I am here for one reason and one reason only.
So and that doesn't really lead into this, but it's the worst. The worst. That's not the right word. The scariest kind of real character in a movie that I've seen in the last 20 years. And I'm going to screw his name up. Anton. It's from No Country for Old Men.
Anton Chigurh.
Yes. That was the scariest dude.
It's another one.
Yeah.
And it was the haircut.
Yeah, I think so.
I think, man, I was listening. Josh Brolin was on.
He's on Rogan. Or he's on Rogan recently, yeah.
And he was talking about that. He was like, because it's Javier Bardem.
Bardem, yeah.
And I think he's married to, I always want to say Selma Hayek, but it's not Selma Hayek. It's the other one. She was in Blow. She was the wife of Johnny Depp.
Yep. She was
very, very skinny.
Yep. I
can't believe I can't remember her name.
Tom Cruise movie that was weird.
Was it the Vanilla Sky one? Yeah.
You watched that?
No, I saw the first 10 minutes, and I was like, it's kind of like, do you ever remember the TV show Family Matters? It's the Urkel.
Yeah.
There's an episode where Carl Winslow, the dad, the cop, and the wife are watching a movie, and it's the Bridges of Madison County. And it ends and the credits go, and he was like, "What the hell was that?" And his wife's like, "What?" He said, "One bridge didn't explode. It's a Clint Eastwood movie." It's like a bridge is supposed to blow up. And she was like, it's a romantic movie. And he was like, this is terrible.
Can't believe I just wasted that. And you'll feel the same way in the Vanilla Sky if you were to watch it. It's like, man.
Yeah, I was like,
Kurt Russell's in that too.
I was like, when is Tom Cruise going to rip a face off? And there's another face underneath it.
Yeah, that happens in there actually in a different way, but it's not his best. Yeah. He's fine in it, but it's not a great movie.
Yeah, he's not. I don't know. He's not really a dramatic actor.
I know. He makes great movies.
He makes
Mission Impossible style.
He does good action drama, but if you're like, hey, go up on stage and do Othello. I'm not going to watch Tom Cruise do
He's
Othello.
He's done that several times, but they're never.
Now, Denzel Washington,
yeah,
that's another top 10 voice. He could talk to me about, I don't know, rebuilding a carburetor, and I would be like, that was beautiful.
I have him on my list too as
bad guy.
Yeah, Alonzo Harris.
Oh,
Training Day.
Yeah, Training Day. He was pretty bad.
That was a great movie.
What about Dennis Hopper? Speed.
That's a good one. I didn't have him. I didn't see it on the list either. Is it on the list?
No, he's on here for a couple of other different roles, but
yeah, I didn't think about him. But that's a good character.
But see, this list also has let's see, who was the one I was looking at? I was like, what? Gordon Gekko. I mean, he is a money bad guy, but
it's like Mr. Potter kind of thing.
Yeah, like, I mean, aren't they all like that? It's just
it's part of the job description.
No, there was one I saw and I was just, oh yeah, Michael Corleone. Like, is he a bad guy?
I know.
I mean, he's in the mafia. I get that. Yeah. Like, he kills a lot of people. I get that. But that movie didn't portray Michael Corleone as like a bad guy. It just kind of portrayed like
he was a gangster.
He was just a gangster. Yeah. So
they had it specifically linked to Godfather 2, which is, I guess, his kind of coming of age movie in that film. But
all right, so are you ready for my all-time, even more worse than Amon Goth from Schindler's List? All right, my number one villain ever that, spoiler alert, when she died at the end of the movie,
that's good,
is Rosamund Pike from I Care a Lot. Oh. She played Marla Grayson.
Yeah, I just watched that movie. At your suggestion, me and Timmy watched it. It was really good.
Were you guys like halfway through the movie? Were you like, when is she going to die so I can feel better about myself?
I think you may have told me she was going to die but if you didn't tell me that, I wouldn't have seen it coming because I kind of the fact that I knew that she was.
Oh yeah, how they fixed the movie. Yeah, you're like
because it looks like she's won.
Yeah, she's come out on top.
Yeah. Man, this would be disappointing.
The little mob boss guy has like gone into business with her, and you're just like, oh. And then that guy from the beginning comes back full circle, pow! And I was so happy.
That was a good character.
Terrible. And somebody came up with that idea. Yeah, no, that's happening.
Oh yeah,
like people are being taken advantage of.
It's based on. It'd have to be. Somebody came up with the idea to pull that off. They probably saw news articles and it happened to somebody. I think I don't know who the worst one of all time for me is. It may be the J.T. Walsh was pretty good. If you ask my wife, it'd be the Joan Crawford character. Also, the one I didn't mention or haven't mentioned, and it's kind of a weird one too, but Reagan McNeil or Pazuzu. Linda Blair's character in Exorcist.
She's on the list. That is a terrifying movie.
Especially when I was younger, I watched it when I was...
That head spinning around, and then the vomit.
I don't know how good it holds up today with the new special effects and all that stuff, but it was a very scary movie. Anytime you bring religion into an evil versus good kind of situation, it gets pretty dark pretty quickly.
But going back to the Josh Brolin thing, he said, like, Javier Bardem hated. He said because he had that like ridiculous haircut, he wouldn't go out. Like, so they would like at the end of shooting, like, hey man, let's go get a beer, let's get something. He's like, no, I'm going back to my haircut. And he was like, just put a hat on. And he was like, no. He said he was in full depression.
Yeah.
He said on top of that, he's killing everybody in the movie.
Every scene.
And he was like, I've never had a role like this. He said he's the sweetest guy in the world. But
that's probably if I had to pick one, that would be the one. As far as just pure evil kind of dark character.
So Norman Stansfield was the character Gary Oldman played in Leon the Professional. He was the DEA agent, and he was the one that have you ever seen that, Leon the Professional?
No. Is this no?
He's the hitman that the little girl. She's a famous actress now. I'm trying to remember her name.
I'm sorry. Yes. I have seen that movie years ago.
Yeah. But he did the weird thing. He would take his, like, pills that, I don't know if it was like meth or something, but he would take it without any fluid. And that's what I give Cooper his Adderall. And if we forget and I got to run up to the school, like the two girls that work at the front counter that are phenomenal are always like, does he want some water? And he just takes it and he's like, and they're like, animal. And I'm like, yeah, he is.
Let me not give it to him.
But yeah, so Norman Stansfield would like take these pills. He would like crack them in the back of his mouth and then do like this like head roll and like neck snap right before he swallowed it. And it was just like, that is the most intense person I've, like, anyone that can crack a pill in their mouth and then just swallow it with like no water or anything.
Why crack it?
Yeah,
what are you doing?
I don't know. But like, I had a list. It had Dr. Evil from Austin Powers, and I was like, this list is not valid.
Yeah, I thought it had kind of
Agent Smith from the Matrix movies. That's pretty good. Javier Bardem, Raul Silva from the James Bond Skyfall. He was pretty creepy. But see, it had Jules and Vincent from Pulp Fiction. Like, are they really bad guys? Like, I thought the only bad guy in that movie was the dude with the motorcycle that raped.
Bruce Willis, or
not Bruce Willis, but what's the guy's name? He's in all the Mission Impossible movies too. He does the Taco Bell commercials now. Or not Taco Bell. He does the
Devontae Adams.
No, Arby's commercials. We have the meat.
Oh.
What is that guy's name?
Ving Rhames.
Ving Rhames. Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to tell my mom. He played the Mike Tyson character. Did you ever see that Undefeated movie?
No, I never saw it.
Where he goes to jail and he's the professional boxer, and he boxes Wesley Snipes, who's the prison champion.
Oh, okay.
And Wesley Snipes beats the professional boxer, which, I mean, Ving Rhames isn't a professional boxer, but it's like, how good of a boxer is the guy that's in the prison? Like, is he getting, you know?
Get professional training.
So, this is a great one. Patrick Bateman from American Psycho.
Yeah.
That is a good one. But at the end of the movie, you realize it's all fake.
Have I seen that? I've seen parts of it. I know I've seen clips of them. I think Ansley has watched it because she talked.
It is a shout out to college roommate Nick Delamarter.
Yeah,
it is one of our favorite. We quote it.
Oh, really?
Like The Office.
It's very popular. I mean, I see people mention it a lot.
He uses this line a few times. Reese Witherspoon's in it. Really? It's his fiance, and he breaks up with her in a restaurant while he's doodling, like one of his kills, like with the crayons provided by the restaurant. Like he's just doodling while he's talking to her. And he gets up and he's like, I'm leaving. And she's like, where are you going? He's like, I have to return some videotapes, and just leaves. And, we had that conversation with Duck about, do you know what a Blockbuster is? And Duck was like, yeah, I know what a Blockbuster is. But like, we used to do that in college. Like we'd have people over at the house and
leave.
Where are you going? I'm going to return some videotapes. And they would just be like, the other people would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I've seen parts of it. I know, because that character, the character he plays, when you mention him or you say that line, I can see him saying it because he's kind of disconnected, kind of weird acting.
Yeah. He's a psychopath.
Yes, yeah, he does it
But
well.
there's another scene. He's the guy that's in everything. I think we talked about him last time too. Was you want to say it's William, but it's not William. It's like Wilhelm. He's always got like the crazy eyes. He played the Goblin in the original Spider-Man movies. Defoe. Wilhelm, not William, but Wilhelm Defoe.
He's a Willem.
He's a police officer in it.
Yeah.
Investigating the disappearance of one of the guys that he thinks he's killed, but at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, he hasn't killed anybody. He's just thought it all up.
Yeah, bringing up all these actors makes me feels like there's like 10 to 12 people that do every movie.
Yeah, that's it. But anyways, the guy's like, do we have time to meet? And he's like, I've got a lunch date with Cliff Huxtable. So we'll say like,
okay. That name sounds familiar.
like, hey Chuck, man, you want to go get something to eat? Be like, nah, I'm meeting Cliff Huxtable. Just like shaking your head. But here's a good one, Tyler Durden.
Oh yeah,
From Fight Club. And did you know that there is an employee at California Atlantic that is named that?
Really?
Because
Did
me
I
and
see that
me and
somewhere?
Sagan one day, we got like the email of like the new employees. We were in PCA meeting, and I looked over and I was like, and I looked at Sagan and I pointed to it, and he was like, and I was wondering, I was like, all right, this is how I'm gonna know if Sagan's cool. And so Sagan like, just texts me and goes, do you think his parents did that on purpose? And I was like, I don't know, but I want to go talk to him about it. But if he doesn't talk about it,
Yeah.
isn't he follow? And then Sagan was like, well, then I guess he's following the first rule. And I was like, okay, Sagan's cool.
Yeah. Did I mention this one already? Primal Fear, Aaron Stampler, Edward Norton. That made me think of it.
No, we talked about that though, because you were like, this guy, the entire movie,
it
you're
caught me
like,
off guard at the
yeah.
end.
And then you're like, oh my God.
That surprised me at the end. I'm usually, I can figure, you usually see it kind of coming, but that one I did not see coming. I was like Richard Gere.
Norman Bates, he's on a lot of them. Did you like Vince, the comedian that played Norman Bates early in his career before he became full-fledged comedian? Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn?
Did you like him?
I don't know if I saw him play that character.
It was him, and the girl was played by, she just died recently in a car wreck. She like crashed into someone's house.
Grief.
But she was the one, she was in, she was the one that she became a lesbian and then she went back to men. She was in 7 Days and 7 Nights with Harrison Ford.
Oh, yeah.
Short blonde hair.
Yeah, Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah, it was her girlfriend for a little while.
What was her name?
Oh.
Because she was like a famous actress for a little while there.
Yeah.
Anne Hesh.
Yep. That's it. She was the she was the victim.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I do. I think I do remember that. Vince Vaughn played that character. I don't think that's not on the top of my brain anyway.
And I'm a
big.
who's the director? Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
I'm a big Hitchcock. Our parents, when we were young, they took us to Universal and they had the Hitchcock experience.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty cool. Like, how they did the special effects. I think my sister did the, was it the Vertigo? Was that the one where they're like hanging from the tower? I think.
Oh,
Jimmy Stewart was in like every Alfred Hitchcock movie. It was like his go-to. But there was a scene where they were like, Alfred Hitchcock had to figure out how to make it look like somebody was dangling, and they put like they put Jimmy Stewart like on a merry-go-round, like with the camera, and so like it made it look like he was being pulled, falling, and then they like just put something behind it to make it look like it was the ground, and because my sister was like, she actually like you went through the experience and they showed you like they had somebody get in the shower and it was like corn syrup or something, but it was black and white, so it just looks like blood. And they went through all these different things, and you watched clips, and like they had the whole setup, the movie, I forget the name of it, but where Jimmy Stewart is the photographer with a broken leg, and he's looking out his window at the different, and he witnesses the murder. I think it's something window. I want to say Secret Window, but that was that terrible Johnny Depp movie.
Johnny Depp movie, yeah.
But it was pretty cool. So Birds, that's a classic.
I know.
Anytime I see
I don't think I've ever watched one from beginning to end.
If I see a large gathering of birds, I get a little like, oh, we got to get out of here.
I like the idea that it's such a passive, harmless creature, but they've somehow weaponized it into this scary thing.
And Alfred Hitchcock he was like the first director to do like the video bomb. Like he would just be like this random passerby in every movie. So
with his famous silhouette walking by.
Who's the guy that does that now? He's the he was on a hot streak there for a while, and then he had some bombs. What was it, the Bruce Willis I See Dead People movie, Sixth Sense.
Oh, yeah.
The Village. I mean, he was hitting home run after
M. Night
home run. Yeah.
Shyamalan?
The Mel Gibson one.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Signs.
I wasn't expecting that to be a good movie, but it was really good.
Yeah. Signs was good. Village was good.
Yeah.
Sixth Sense was good. And then he did like the Unbreakable movie. It was okay. They redid it. And then they had a couple of spinoffs from it. They did I think Glass was the recent one.
Yeah, I didn't tie those two. I didn't know that was the same thing until later.
And then what was there was the dude, James McAvoy. He was in one of the spinoffs, Switch, or where he played the guy that had like the different personalities.
He was like muscular.
Oh, yeah.
Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I have seen part of that one.
All right. What other?
I think you've exhausted my list. Other than,
Yeah.
The ones that came to mind in my whole 45 minutes of research last night.
All right, so let's take a left-hand turn.
Okay.
I sent you a topic last night that my wife gave me, and I'm going to save that for the wrap-up because we're also going to do the bourbon tasting here in a few minutes. Okay. But you sent me another article, the Golden At-Bat.
Yes. I never did go back and listen to it. Actually.
Major League Baseball.
I kind of got the high level, but you're more familiar with it. I'll let you explain it.
And so, obviously, Major League Baseball has been doing a lot of things here recently to get younger, because football and basketball have kind of surpassed what, baseball for the longest time was the national pastime. And I think part of the problem with baseball is it's a very suburban sport. Like, you get kids in the inner city don't play a lot of baseball now. They play football, they play basketball. In fact, they actually play more soccer than they play baseball. So it's kind of, as it moved out into the suburbs, it kind of also moved out of what people thought of as like, this is the national pastime. And I mean, it's the sport that broke the color barrier.
Yeah.
And, there was a lot of things in baseball that happened that kind of transcended society. And, now like 10 years ago, you go to a baseball game and it's like 5 hours and you're
That's
like,
ridiculous.
good God. I mean, I am a baseball junkie and it was almost impossible for me. I mean, especially like I'm a big Braves fan. The Braves come on at like 7:20. The game doesn't end until 11.
Yeah.
And you're like,
you almost want them to record the whole thing, like they do football games sometimes. There's episodes that they'll take all the in between plays out, and watch a whole game in less than 45 minutes.
Yeah, I think that somebody did there's like 22 minutes of action in a football game.
Yeah.
You're like,
why
did it take 3 hours? So they've done some things in the last few years, like they introduced the pitch clock.
Yeah.
They came up with some rules because it was like,
once
once you got past the sixth inning, it was like, all right, this reliever is going to face this guy, then we're going to bring in this reliever to face this guy, then we're going to bring in this reliever to face this guy. And it was like, there's a pitching change every 10 minutes. And you're like, and that was one thing I didn't understand was the guys have been warming up in the bullpen. Then they get to come out and warm up again.
Yeah.
Like,
how much do you need?
I mean,
you're
one or two throws. Like, I get it. You're going out to the mound, and maybe you haven't pitched off that mound if you're the visiting team. So, yeah, give me one or two throws off the mound so I can, because the bullpen's going to be slightly different than the mound. I get that, but they're out there. They throw 8 pitches. Oh, my God.
Well, so was this Golden Bat deal along those same lines?
Yeah, well, it's not.
It's not to expedite
See,
the
those
game,
efforts were to, hey, we got to speed up the game.
Yeah.
So the pitch clock, because you'd have pitchers step off, throw over to first base, throw over to first base. And now you can only throw over to first base 3 times. And if you throw over the third time, you have to pick them off. If you don't, they automatically get to go to second base, which I'm not a huge fan of that, but it has increased the number of stolen bases because baseball to a point had kind of like where basketball's at. Basketball has kind of turned into this like, who can hit the most 3-pointers?
That's right. It's just
and there's not a lot of like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like that guy had the most unstoppable shot in the world. That sky hook was just like, you can't stop it. He's 7 foot something. His arm is like 13 feet in the air, and he's throwing this hook that's like another 20 feet. So you're just like, I hope he misses.
In the driveway.
Yeah. And then it's like, he doesn't miss a lot. Yeah. So
he's practiced this.
You're like, okay, Like, let's just take those 2 points and go down and shoot a 3-pointer. But it kind of, baseball kind of became the home run or nothing. And, you don't see the sacrifice bunting. You don't see, and the baseball players now are much better athletes than they were 10, 20, 30 years ago.
They're actually athletes now.
And it's like
the John Crooks of,
and you had these shifts where it became so frustrating as a fan that, all right, they've got the shortstop, second baseman, and the first baseman all on one side of the field, and they have the third baseman kind of like standing where the shortstop is.
Have they changed that rule? Are they not allowing that anymore?
So you can't like before the pitch, you have to have your feet in the dirt, and two people have to be, so you can be like right at second base, but you can't be past it.
Okay. When the pitch is thrown.
Yeah, when the pitch is thrown. So, and it was frustrating to me. It was just like, you're a major league hitter. Just shorten up your swing and hit singles to left field all day long until they're like, and then they're like, well, looking at the sabermetrics and this and that, it's like it actually makes more sense to try and overswing and hit a home run or hit the ball harder. And it was like, all right, you struck out 130 times swinging out of your shoes. Yeah. You're telling me you can't, hit a fastball that's straight as an arrow. You can't just slap your bat at it and get single after single after single and make them like, all right,
honest. Yeah.
Okay, all right, this guy is just hitting singles. We're moving back over here. Yeah. Then take your big cut. Yeah. And it's,
that stuff I didn't bother me. I don't mind the pickoff throws. At least that's action. Something's happening.
Yeah.
Limiting that kind of throws everything out of kilter.
But the batter, like after every pitch, step out, take the batting gloves on, put the gloves. It was just like, oh my God. So they did all those things, and it really has sped up the game. Like, I've taken my kids to some games. Those games start at 7:20, and they're done like at 9:30. And you're like, good. Damn, get back to the hotel, and we're great. But the Golden At-Bat is just taking a gigantic shit on sports. So the premise is, you get one Golden At-Bat every game. So you get to bat out of order. Like, you get to take your best hitter, and they get to hit out of order, like in a high leverage situation. So let's say it's the 9th inning, and you're the Dodgers, and you've got 7, 8, 9 coming up to bat. Well, I'm not a big Dodgers fan. I don't know who 7, 8, 9 is. Yeah. Well, say you get a couple of guys on base, and so like the number 9 hitter comes up, and whoever the number 9 hitter is, I think Kiki Hernandez plays for the Dodgers. He's a like utility infielder. Yeah. Let's say it's him. Well, you get to replace him with anyone in the lineup. So now you get to trot up Shohei Ohtani. And the reason is people are like, it's the biggest situation of the game, and the stars aren't in it. And it's like, because there's a batting order. Yeah, that's why
you set a batting order.
That's what makes baseball great. Is
strategy. Yeah.
You get these heroes that aren't your, Kiki Hernandez goes up there and hits a single, and everybody loses their freaking mind. And they're like,
Cabrera is a perfect example.
Yes, absolutely.
Nobody's expecting them to do that.
And so what you could have is, you could have one out. Shohei Ohtani comes to the plate with the bases loaded. You strike him out. Hey. Golden At-Bat.
Yeah.
Shohei gets right back in the box.
He never leaves.
And the pitcher's just like, fuck.
I know.
I
just pulled off the greatest thing in history.
Yeah. Now I got to try and get this guy out again. And, of course, what's going to happen? Shohei's going to hit like a 500-foot home run, throw his bat, celebrate, and everybody's going to be like, this is not
the game to watch.
Even
if you're a Dodgers fan, you'd be somewhat disappointed. You'd feel like you cheated somehow.
I don't know. The L.A. fans,
so
they're tools. they would be like, that's all they want. They just want stars. Like Kiki Hernandez comes up 9th, and they're like, why is this bum on our team? Why do we not have all stars at all 9 positions? And it's like, assholes.
It's not actually in play yet.
No, it's just in conversation. But it's the most ridiculous thing. Like, I remember, I think the Dan Le Batard show actually was the ones who maybe came up with this whole, like, Golden At-Bat. And they also talked about putting, like, trampolines in the warning track to help rob home runs. And I was just like, you would just have players, like, shattering knees, running full speed, and then I have to plan to jump on this trampoline, jump, baseball hits them in the face, they go unconscious, they come down, get broken in half by the fence. It's in Philadelphia. Those fans will start like cutting body parts off of it if it's an away, they're animals. And so to me, it doesn't do anything to make the game better. It's just we want more stars when it counts the most. And it's like, okay.
I don't care for this at all.
This is not.
It's not doing anything for the game. It's not doing anything for the enjoyment of the game.
Yeah.
You're getting, like say, for instance, if it is Los Angeles versus, a not so good team, and especially with LA, it's more of a dilemma for them because they're loaded.
Yeah.
If it's not Shohei, it's Mookie or it's Freddie or they got run anybody up there.
Yeah.
But you only get one per game.
Yeah, one per game.
You can call it at the moment you need it.
Yeah. And to me, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It's like, I would actually prefer the robot strike zone before I would the Golden At-Bat.
Hey, so you don't care for the robot strike zone? You like the umpire back there?
I like
balls and strikes.
Yeah, and just like there's a reason people are called fans.
Yeah,
it's short for fanatic. You're not a reasonable person when you're a fan. Quick side note: the article on ESPN about the Alabama athletic director that's like, "You're not happy we're not in the playoff? Donate more money."
That's right. We got to pay for players now. So this is
yes. I understand that we're in that era. But
their talent is not the problem for the team, anyways.
No, like Alabama athletic director, do me a favor and read the room. Like 90% of the people that are Alabama fans are not donating to the Alabama collective. All right, it's the 10% that are very, very wealthy. So you telling the guy that's working like 12 hours a day and him buying Alabama tickets for him and his kid is kind of like his Christmas present to donate more money so that they can make the playoff.
And the interesting turn on this, I didn't realize this. I didn't think about it, I guess. Saban was on McAfee's show a couple of days ago or a day ago. And I think that's where it came from. I can't remember where I heard it now, but maybe it was that interview. But, yeah, if you have a big donor kicking out $500,000 for a player, next year, because he got paid that much, now he had a good year, now he can get more, and he transfers.
Yeah.
You're encouraging to one year go, 1 year go. That whole they've broken that for sure.
Yeah, they overcorrected and they gotta figure it out. I'm in no means against some kid benefiting off of his name, image, and likeness, but like every time I see it, it's like someone signed a new name, image, and likeness deal and just transferred, and it's like, I mean, everybody's a free agent every year, and it
kind of defeats the whole feeling around college sports and building a team, and that's my college. I'm proud to be there. But I play Alabama 1 year, I play Ohio State the next, play LSU. No, it's crazy.
And Kirk Herbstreit, his son just signed with Michigan, which Kirk Herbstreit's Ohio State quarterback isn't. Like, he's got a kid that plays at Ohio State right now, and he was like, man, Ryan Day and them were like, his kid's like a 3-star. He's like, it's gotten to the point where these power schools are no longer like, hey, let's get this person who could be developed into something great. Yeah. And like, we're just going to go get transfers. Like, this kid was great at this school. We're bringing him in.
We can pay him more. So,
it's not really working out for Ryan.
It's worse than NFL because at least in NFL you have contracts that or you can lock them in for a certain amount of time. It seems this is just a year-to-year situation.
Yeah.
And Ohio State is pulling no punches. They'll tell you right up front how much they're spending.
Yeah, they have the highest payroll.
Yeah.
Ryan Day's got to win a national championship or he's fired.
He better.
I hate to tell him that. Did you see the Tennessee fans?
No.
Somebody hacked Apple Maps and changed the horseshoe to Neyland North on Apple Maps. It was great.
I know.
They said like all week, like every bar in Columbus, like it's just been blaring Rocky Top. Like they have hacked jukeboxes and stuff, and they're in there like, the Ohio State fans just have to be like, This is horseshit. We're Ohio State. Tennessee
How
just
people in Knoxville smarter than we are?
Exactly. So
That's cold.
and somewhere Steve Spurrier is just giggling. He's like, they should be at the Citrus Bowl. It's terrible. So Golden At-Bat rule. No. Like, if it happens, it'll probably, like, I'm not a big NFL guy anymore. I think the product's great. I don't know. Like, I can't.
You just don't follow it. No,
Yeah. It's hard to dedicate, you know, I don't really spend that much time on college football anymore. And it's hard to dedicate 3-6 hours. Like, if there's a game, like if the Chiefs and the Bills are playing, I might like, oh, yeah, I'd like to see Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen duke it out. But it's really hard for me to,
because you don't have a team to. I mean, I used to pull. I'm a Jaguars fan. I guess that's the only NFL games I've ever been to. I used to be a Falcons fan when I was a kid. Both teams suck, so you don't have that component. I'm more like you. If it's a night game or a primetime game that's coming up, KC, Buffalo, or whoever, you know, it may be a good game, I'll watch that. But yeah, I don't. Even I'll watch Alabama football. I'll watch those games. I'll watch Georgia occasionally if it's a good game. I'll watch the playoffs, I'm sure. But after that, I don't watch much.
Speaking of Saban,
yeah,
did you see the SEC championship? Like the pregame, was he drunk? Because he was just cussing up a storm.
He's been hanging around McAfee for too long, I think.
I think he's starting to rub off because you had that one little segment where Kirby and Sarkisian were just, you know.
Oh yeah,
and he's like, that's bullshit. And like they all start laughing. But there was another, like prior to that, he said something.
He cusses almost every college game
does
day.
Anybody know that? You know, because I go back to my favorite game day episode ever when Lee Corso was trying to put on one of the mascot heads.
Oh, yeah.
And just said, fuck it. And then tossed it. And Kurt Herbstreit looked like he was about to have a stroke laughing so hard. The entire panel just lost it. And then they made that poor old man get on TV at like the next break and apologize.
That would never happen today.
No. I wish they would make me apologize. Like
you can imagine, you've been a football coach before. At that level, especially as successful as Saban's been, Corso is successful. These are football coaches, and you expect them to hold that in for hours on live television? There's no way.
No.
You can read Saban's lips on the.
Yeah, you see him. I mean,
knock the shit out of.
You see how mad he gets when they're up like 49-7, and someone on a kickoff gets like to the 25.
Yeah.
You know, had they just done a fair catch or taken a knee, they would have gotten there anyways. But because someone moved out of the lane that they were supposed to cover, like Nick Saban has lost his freaking mind and is screaming up and down. And like, my wife, who's an Alabama fan, she's like, is that an appropriate response for? And I'm like, no. I was like, that kid did not do any of the other kickoffs. Like that was his first kickoff. Like he's out there like, I just want to make a tackle. Like that is one of those that in the film session you're like, hey, you didn't maintain your lane. Yeah. Like I don't chew your ass on the sideline in front of 100,000 people while we're up by 7 touchdowns.
There's a popular, I see it a lot because I know I watch, your algorithm gets set by whatever you watch, but there's an Alabama short, I guess you'd call it, from Saban's on the sideline. It's at the end of the game, they're up by 40 points and they're playing defense and they want to play, they'll go to nickel. And he cannot. They're trying to get him to move to nickel. He ends up. There's seconds left in this game. Timeout, and just chews every one of them out. I was like, nickel. You guys don't have any poise. I mean, he's just cussing them out as they come off the sideline. This game's over. It's been over for quarters. And you wonder, does that play into why he has 7 national titles? Is that part of it? Or it's
the attention to detail. I think that is what bothers
It's not the freaking
him.
out. It's how he presents it gets all the press, but the attention to detail is what I guess gets it done.
It's a couple of different things. It's the attention to detail. Like he doesn't want anybody to make a mental mistake.
Yeah.
Then it's like, did you miss a tackle? Because then that's a physical mistake. And then it's like, you just got beat. Like I don't think he chews anybody out like, shit, man.
Yeah.
you didn't do anything wrong. That guy's just better than you.
Right.
Like I can't really chew you out for that. But I think the attention to detail, and I think you're much more in tune with Alabama football than I am. I've married into an Alabama family, but I'm not on chat boards or outside
I'm
of
not so
the
much
occasional
either,
Paul Feinbaum, love fest. Can we just say Paul Feinbaum has a man crush on Nick Saban? But I don't. I don't think I've ever seen a player that has played for him, even the ones that have transferred out, that have been like, I hate that fucking man.
Yeah.
They all hold him in like the highest regard, and I think he's one of those like, hey guys, I am going to ride your ass for 4 years or 3 years or however long you're here to make you better.
Yeah.
And then,
you're a better person.
When you're a better man, you're a better person, you're a better football player, all of that stuff. Because it seems like every single player is like, I love that dude.
Yeah.
And the quarterbacks are the ones that seem to take the most verbal barrages, because you hear McElroy and who was the one that never – was McElroy the one that had never lost a game until he got to Alabama? He lost one.
Or A.J. McCarron.
A.J. McCarron.
He took physical abuse. There's that one clip where Saban knocks the shit out of him as he's coming to the sideline.
Yeah, so you got A.J. McCarron, McElroy, Blake Sims. I've heard, I think he only played 1 year.
Yeah, Bertie Cole. There's a few of them.
But they all are like, yeah, man, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's
just very mean to me.
Yeah. So, talking about being mean to people, Mallory brought up a topic, and she was like, you guys are around Christmas time. You need to talk about Christmas stuff. And I said, okay. You got any ideas? And she was like, why don't you guys talk about Christmas shopping? And I said, why? She said, because you despise it. She said it would be an interesting conversation.
So do you actually do it? I mean, like physical, go out the house, go to a store and buy stuff. Do you?
Yeah.
Well, good for you, Chuck.
Because we share an Amazon account, so I can't buy anything on it because she'll immediately see it.
That's true.
So I actually have to go get her gifts. But yeah, I actually, my mom will verify this, but I'm a very goal-oriented shopper.
I thought you were going to say golden child, but go ahead.
No. My brother and sister will say that, but just goal-oriented. So if I'm going in somewhere, I'm going to get that item and then leave.
Yeah.
There's no perusing.
You're not a window shopper.
There's no window shopping.
Right.
And it drives my mom and my wife crazy, because I'm like, hey, we're here to get something.
They are shoppers in the
they're shoppers,
traditional sense,
and my mom actually, she said, you're starting to rub off on me. And I don't like it, because I've gone a few places and I just went and got the thing and then left. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
That's your chromosome showing out, I think.
But
that's what males do.
You and me have talked about, we don't like people in large groups and, parks, amusement parks. You were like, it's just a bunch of people and you're constantly around people. And I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't like being around large groups of people. And for whatever reason, Christmas time
brings out the best of folks.
Yeah,
too.
you would think it would bring out the best in people, but it actually doesn't.
Yeah.
So, was it last weekend? We went shopping and we went to Academy Sports and Home Goods and Hobby Lobby, and we're just one store after the other. And my wife could just see it on my face. She was just like, you are not into this at all. And I was like, no, I'm not. And she's like, you need to talk about it. She said, you need to get it off your chest. She said, use your podcast as your therapy session. And I wanted to see, you've been doing it a few years longer than I have.
Yeah.
Is it something that you enjoy? Yeah. I mean, I like spending time with my wife.
Yeah, that part's fine.
But
so is it specific to shopping with your spouse? Is that what we're talking about, or just shopping in general? Or
I think it's just shopping in general. I'm not a big fan of,
neither am I. I do most of my shopping online. I used to, back in the day when I was younger, that there was some excitement around. They've screwed this all up too with the Black Friday sales and getting up early in the morning. We did that a couple times, and it was fun. But then now they start Thanksgiving night, and it's all kinds of screwed up. It's
crazy.
But even then, it was too busy, and it's like a one-time, two-time thing, maybe tops. But yeah, now I do it online. She still figures out what it is before She did yesterday. But what happens, well, this is an interesting story maybe because my daughter, I don't pay attention, you may have noticed, to a lot of things. And my wife is one of those things sometimes.
What is your job?
I don't know. I'm a planner with ADHD. So Tammy's likes certain things. We're not big clothes shoppers or shoppers in general, buy things to be buying them. But when she wants something, she gets it, like I do. Mm-hmm. And you get to be our age, and
makes it that much harder to find
because everybody just buys what they want throughout the year.
Yeah.
So when you do get a little gem like that, and hers were these On Cloud tennis shoes. She's on her feet all day. Yeah, exactly. And she
not a sponsor, but we will accept sponsorship from On Cloud because they are not cheap.
No, they are not.
And that is a good thing. Like they are phenomenal shoes.
Yeah,
but
I don't have any. Tammy loves them.
They are great. Favorite tennis shoe I've ever owned. She
had a white pair, and she's about gone through those, and she's on her feet all day. So she's found these. She searched for shoes and searched for shoes. Of course, more expensive things are something you're going to try everything else but that. And she finally did get a pair of On Clouds. Loved them. So those are going out. She wanted a pair of black ones. And my oldest daughter, who does pay attention, texted me a few weeks ago, "Hey, Mom wants some black On Clouds." Gotcha. So she sends me a link where the link is for an older shoe or something. They aren't available, or you got to wait for them. It took me a little bit to figure that out. So there's a newer version of that shoe. I ordered it through On Cloud, so it's not on Amazon. I got it licked. I'm good to go. $150 over there. They arrived yesterday. Jesse's there. Hey, go grab them. We got a plan. Here, I wrap them, put them under the tree. Well, Tammy comes home later than I did. Is going around and sees the other present under the tree. Who's that for? I said, "It's yours." Well, something came today. Was that it? I said, "Yeah, that was it." Because she was worried about the Ring doorbell called somebody. Did we pick that up? Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, yep, they're wrapped. Jesse wrapped them, put them under the tree. She was so excited. Oh, I get something. Because now she has two presents. The other one she doesn't know about yet, which is nothing. But her way of getting out of this or figuring it out, really, and she wasn't trying to. She was so happy that I'm going to go buy some On Clouds tomorrow. That was going to be her celebration for the weekend. She was going to go buy the shoes that I just purchased. So I have to tell her what they are. I said, "No, don't do that. Let's go unwrap those." I got it. And she's excited again, but now it's not a surprise on Christmas morning because this is all old from last year because we didn't have any presents under the tree last year because everybody just bought shit and just had it before the Christmas actually went on. So
yeah.
Anyway,
and
that's not ruined a Christmas shopping story.
Yeah, and I sent you the fellow curmudgeon Andy Rooney clip yesterday about how Christmas has taken over Thanksgiving and commercialized everything, and it like the Christmases that I had growing up were great. We didn't get a lot of presents, but we always got like I remember getting my first set of golf clubs for Christmas, and like I got that, and I got some like deodorant and some clothes, and that was it. And like I was ecstatic because I was like, man, I want to learn how to play golf. And then I went and like used them, and I was like, fuck this sport.
This is hard.
For like 10 years, it took me before I could actually start hitting straight. And and I don't know. I think as you become parents, like you want your kids to have stuff that you didn't have, and like our kids have way too much.
Oh yeah, it's very easy to spoil them.
Yeah, but as far as shopping, I don't know. I'm not negative towards people, although yesterday, leaving Target, me and my wife almost got out of the truck and beat some poor helpless woman to death because she doesn't understand how stop signs work.
Or how to put a buggy back where it's supposed to go. That's my wife's pet peeve.
So, most places you got your little buggy deposits, like Sam's. Like I'm not walking back into Sam's.
No.
But a lot of grocery stores, I actually walk back into the grocery store and deposit the golf. Unless I'm parked like at the end of the parking lot.
Right.
But I shop at the little grocery store around the corner here, Satilla Grocery. It's kind of a small grocery. I hardly ever leave a cart outside, like because I'm usually, it's usually not packed, so you're usually parked like 2 or 3 spots from the door.
Yeah.
So it's just like just take the cart back in. Everybody in there knows you by name.
Yeah.
It's like Cheers, but
I've
instead of beer.
Never been in there.
It's just.
I need to go in there.
It's a nice grocery store. It's small. It doesn't have a whole lot, but it's nice to shoot 5 minutes up the road
Yeah,
versus run down to Winn-Dixie or something like that. But
there's just no joy in shopping for me.
No.
If I find something, I have to go somewhere to get it. I'll do that. But to do it as a sport, no, I don't care for that at all.
Well, that's, we walked into Sam's, and Sam's has those I don't know why Sam's does this, but everything is way over packaged. So it's like a bottle of perfume with this foot cardboard cut out with the plastic in
Even
it.
deodorant and stuff is that way.
And Mallory looks at some perfume, and she was like, "Oh, by the way, I really like that perfume." So I just grab it, and she was just like, "Really?" I was like, "What if I don't come back?"
Yeah.
She was like, "You wouldn't make a special trip." I was like, "To this shit show?" I mean, I love Sam's, but after Thanksgiving, you cannot go into Sam's where there is not 1,000 people.
Oh, no, it's awful.
And people don't know how to use carts. People don't know how to stay on the right hand sides of aisles. So it is you're just standing there staring at people, or somebody is taking up an entire aisle while they're holding their kid, swaying their kid back and forth, and it's hey,
oblivious.
Excuse me, can
life's
I
going
get
on
by
right
right here? You're not the only people shopping. So
that's the biggest thing, and it's not even because it does happen, of course. But it's just the threat of it. Just knowing that it's a possibility that I could go out there and get aggravated with this makes me not want to go.
And then, was it 2021? Yeah, 2021 Christmas. I was in a sporting goods store, and I'm in line to check out. And there's a person in front of me and a person in front of him, and the person in front of him is wearing a mask. And this obviously upsets the person.
A Batman mask? Or
no, like a COVID,
gotcha.
COVID type. Actually, I think it was a surgical mask, one of the ones that really doesn't do a whole lot of good for you, but
the dust mask.
Whatever. And the guy just why are you wearing a mask? Everybody said those masks don't do anything. And it's this little old lady.
Yeah.
And she looks at him and she goes back, doesn't say anything, goes back, check it out. He's like, I think you should take that mask off. And at this point, it's finally, I don't care if someone wears a mask or doesn't wear a mask. It never bothered me.
I prefer everybody wear a mask.
Yeah.
Just because I want to see it.
I get a little chuckle when I see the person wearing a mask in the car by themselves.
That's right.
But,
or outdoor
if someone wants to wear a mask, and the guy goes,
free country.
Yeah, the guy goes, it's a free country and ain't nobody telling me I could wear a mask. And I said, it's also the free country where you can wear a mask. So shut your hole and let us get out of here. And he turned around and looked at me, and I was like, please, I don't care if you beat me to death, but I am going to hit you over the head with this baseball bat that I have in my hand. And the little old lady was just as I walked out, she was like, thank you. And I was like, it's just ridiculous. Yeah. I was like, I'm not a mask person either, but if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask.
Yeah.
And that guy was completely offended that he could say that to her, but when I was like, hey, shut your hole, just let's go.
Let's cover your hole up. She's doing it. You do it.
So,
yeah, like I say, it's the threat of that kind of thing happening. It's just more than if I don't have to do it, I won't do it.
You remember the Black Friday? There was always a trampoline.
Oh yeah.
It's just
why?
And you're sitting there watching it on TV, and it's just we're reverting back to our animalistic natures.
Yeah.
We're running over somebody so that we can get the tickle me Elmo.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the motivation's odd, but it's this whole cycle of life, maybe because I just listened to somebody say this yesterday. We live in such a candy ass time nowadays.
Yeah.
2,000 years ago,
we would all be dead.
We would all be dead. Nobody living today would survive that.
Yeah.
Even
there'd be a handful.
Yeah.
Like the guys that live in Alaska off the grid right now, they would probably make it, but the rest of us, no.
No, we don't have a chance.
Yeah.
And that whole, and the 2,000 years is in the arc of civilization. That's nothing. Even you go 500 years ago. If you're the king of England or whatever, I forget the conversation they were having, but and you get a bad tooth, you die. Yeah. Now we can solve pretty much any problem we have, and we complain we have to.
You don't even have to go. Think about if there was a Great Depression right now.
No, I don't want to.
People would be committing suicide left and right because they would just be like, it's too hard.
Yeah,
it's too hard.
Because they're already on the edge.
And
they've taken all their money from them.
And that's, you look back and you're like, how could people do what they had to do during World War II? And it's like, geez, World War II is actually an improvement over the Great Depression. A lot of these people were like, wait a minute, you're going to feed me. You're going to give me clothes. And all I have to do is kill these Nazis.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, hand me the pistol. Let's go.
And you're going to pay me? Okay.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how far we've come, but I think we squandered away. Everybody gets times are too good. Everybody, it's that whole saying about, was it hard men make good times make soft men make bad times. That's a truer words that have been spoken, I think we're living the good life for the former sacrifices, but
yeah. But that's, because
this is a good example of us complaining about Christmas shopping.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I don't know. I can't, I go in and, there's a part of me that does want to look around, when I'm in Lowe's.
Yeah.
I can look around Lowe's all day.
I can't stand going to Walmart, but I would appreciate the store if there was no people there besides myself.
And I think did I tell you this? I've been in our Walmart one time.
I think you ended up saying twice for the same reason. Yeah.
Twice, work related. Yeah.
It's awful. It's an awful place.
Yeah. I can't do it anymore.
No.
And it used to be I remember when we got the super Walmart in Valdosta, and it was like, this place is fucking awesome. Somebody in New York right now in Manhattan is like, what a redneck. If you are listening to this in Manhattan, hello.
Yeah, hello.
Thank you.
Comment below.
Yeah. Please subscribe. Please like and subscribe.
Yeah. There's a couple more there's this, I don't know if you get on Facebook very often, but there's this local podcast that sounds professional, actually, much compared to us, relative to us. But apparently there's more than one, and they're at war about somebody getting evicted from their home, and I don't know. It's pretty. I hadn't really followed it.
The two podcasts are at war with each other.
They seem to be at war with each other, and I'm speaking way out of turn because I lost interest pretty quickly. But I just thought it was interesting that we have a local podcast that's, I guess, somewhat successful. I hadn't researched it very well, but I listened to a 20-second clip of it, and I thought, they sound pretty good. They didn't know hum and haw and
All right, so let's go to war with both of them.
We should start some shit.
We don't have any kind of financial. So there's nothing that this will be another Michael Scott situation. We'll get you guys shut down. We'll just start a new podcast. We've got an unlimited number of names.
Let's do some research before the next one. Figure out their weak spots.
Think about how creative I was with California Atlantic. I can do that all day. So
that was a side note there.
But one other thing we wanted to throw in is a kid story.
Yes.
And I threw in a bunch of kid stories last time, so I am going to throw one in. But do you have any phenomenal kid stories? You've got two young ladies, college age.
Yeah. They would be, and I'd have to get to this some thought. There are many stories, but I'd have to work on that a little bit. I have two girls, you have two boys. So, of course, I found your stories, extremely interesting.
Well, that's because your girls are human beings and have control.
They have their days.
They're probably sweet and lovable. And I have these two hyenas that smell like hyenas. And it is just, it's like the
Travis,
the nature channel every day.
That's why it's interesting.
Yeah. So I do have this great story. And again, I know raising girls, you guys don't go through this, but as a man, I know you've experienced this. So the long car rides, especially if you're on the interstate, when we lived in Folkestone and we're back roads, we're pulling over, the kids are hopping out, they're taking a leak in a ditch, hop right back in.
Right.
But, you're on the interstate. You don't want to pull over on the interstate. People get hit on the interstate all the time because people are terrible drivers. But you also just all right, can you hold it till we get to the next exit? No. Okay. Well, here's a bottle. Pee in a bottle. So there's a phase that boys go through, as you're potty training. You don't want them to wet their pants in the truck, and you don't want to pull over. So it's all right, let's see if you can piss in a bottle.
That's right.
And
a test of manhood.
Yeah. And we usually have water bottles or cups or something that are available with lids. And so Cooper is going through that phase of learning to pee in a cup, learn to pee in a bottle while we're in the truck, and, be successful at not spilling it everywhere. And so, doing that for a few months. Well, we had some friends over, and I had a little bit too much to drink one night and fell asleep on the couch because I wanted to be very close to the hallway bathroom. And I had a little Yeti that I kept filling up in the middle of the night with water and drinking. And it was sitting on the floor. In fact, we're at my house right now. That's the couch I was sleeping on. The Yeti was right there at this end on the ground. And it was empty. And so I'm still kind of hungover, halfway asleep. And all of a sudden I hear this sound of liquid hitting the insulated metal Yeti that you know immediately something's being poured into your Yeti, and you're like, what the hell is that? I turn around, and there's Cooper on his knees taking a leak into my Yeti. And so I look at him, I look down at him peeing, and I look at him in the eyes, and he's just staring right at me. And I said, what?
This is where this goes.
I said, what in the hell are you doing? He said, I had to pee. And I look right behind him, and I'm like, what was wrong with the toilet in the hallway? He turns around, and he goes, oh. And I just, I'm completely confused. And so I was like, stop. Well, he's 3. Yeah. He doesn't know how to control. He's like, I don't know how. So he finishes, and I take the Yeti in here, and I
throw it away.
You know how expensive those things are? That thing got washed. Until Yeti's an official sponsor, it's probably still in the cabinet somewhere, too. I'll tell you this. Don't ever take a black Yeti from my house. Okay. Yeah. All the other colors are okay. So, but later in the day, I was like, why did you do that? And he was like, I don't understand the question. And I was like, you peed in my cup instead of in the bathroom. He's like, I'm not supposed to pee in the bathroom. I'm supposed to pee on the toilet. Which is in the bathroom. And he's just like,
at least, well.
So I had to for a week and a half, we had to make sure we weren't just leaving cups, And if it didn't have a lid on it, you had to assume that it had been peed in.
Did he ever make the argument that this is what you told me to do?
No.
In the car?
No.
Pee in the cup?
No. I think he was just trying to pee in it so I would wake up and take a sip out of it.
Yeah, animal. You interrupted a good joke.
Yeah. Jackass. And it was probably his brother who put him up to it, but
he's the clown part.
Yeah.
The comedian, the clown.
So it's a great Cooper story. And then there was one more that my mom wanted me to bring up, the paint story. So I'm in Memphis for work related, and my mom was helping watch the boys because one of them was still in daycare. They might both have been still in daycare at the time. But she calls me, and I'm at the hotel, and she goes, hey, something happened. And I was like, oh, God, are the kids all right? And she's like, yes. She said, but they painted half your garage and the stuff in your garage blue. And I was like, huh? She said, I went upstairs, and I came downstairs, and I couldn't find them, and I couldn't find them, and I couldn't find them. And I went outside, and I found, all this stuff painted blue. And I came back inside, still couldn't find them. She said, I was panicking. I thought that maybe they drowned in the pond across the street. And I was like, Jesus. Wow. She's like, and then I heard a giggle. And she's like, I walked in. She's like, they were in your bathroom. They were in the shower. And they were trying to get rid of the evidence. I said, both of them were in the shower together. She said, yeah. She said, and when I walked in, she said, Grafton looked at me, and his mouth just dropped. And she said, so they got, dried off, and they came in the living room, and she was like, I got to call your dad. And they were both like, no! And so she said they put on their pajamas, and they curled up on the couch together and, went to sleep. I was like, fake sleep. I've done that. Yeah. I was like, I wasn't even here to administer the punishment, but they're faking the sleep.
Sorry to hit a sleeping child.
She's talking me through this, and she's like, your wife just got home, and I just hear in the background, she's like, why is all the stuff in the front yard blue? So thank God it was washable paint.
Yeah.
But they, this is another thing. There was some kind of political sign in my yard that I'm assuming my father put there while I was gone, but they painted over it so that you couldn't tell what they were supporting.
What I love about all these stories about those two boys is there's never any clear motivation for what they're doing.
No,
it's just
anarchy.
It's just something, some seed of an idea came to them that let's do this. Here's some blue paint. Maybe that triggered it. Let's paint everything blue.
They are the Joker. There's no motivation for anything. They just want to see the world burn.
Yeah. That's right. It's not malicious. It's just this is something to do. It turns out not everybody likes what they did. That's great.
Yeah. So no stories like that for the girls?
I was trying to not
see.
Well, and I'm trying to equate it to something like that, and that's not a girl thing to do.
No, they're close in age. They ever get into a fist fight?
No, they don't. They were two different personalities. Of course, it's odd, 2 years apart, and you're aware of those two. They could be so different.
Yeah, my kids are too. Yeah,
they over the years they're 21 and 19, fixing to be 22, 20. They've closer, far apart. No, they get closer sometimes, and then sometimes they're not so close. Now that they're older, they've kind of hit a happy medium, and they get along fine. But it's been pretty stress free for this first 20 years anyway. Other than they're really expensive, but probably no less expensive than boys.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Poor Cooper gets a lot of hand-me-downs.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. I mean, he is hairy. He is the spare. So just whatever's left, here you go. That's why he's so skinny. Like there's no food left. Me, Mallory, and Grafton get done eating, and it's just like, here you go, man. This is what's left.
I have a feeling he runs most of that off anyway. Whatever does he.
Yeah.
I'll have to think about that one. I'll come back with something next time.
A lot of my friends have girls.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that has like just boys, and I get that. I know like girls are so much more expensive. Like just because when we go shopping,
yeah,
Mallory will be like, "Oh, look at this! Don't you want a girl?"
And that's the thing. My girls, I will say this to their credit. They haven't, and Tammy's the same way. They're never big clothes hounds or, got to have a certain brand or certain,
doesn't matter though.
They don't, it's just
like
more stuff. It's
generic
just more people living in your house that you have to pay for.
Generic bows.
Yeah.
That little girls you put in their hair, and it's like $5 for, a set of 3, and you're just like.
Tammy has a hard rule, and there will be no bows in her children's hair. She hates that with a passion.
I like this Tammy person.
Yeah. She's very pragmatic in that sense. There's not going to be any nonsense.
But it's just everything for girls is more expensive.
Yeah.
And it's usually higher quality. It's better made. Like boy stuff, it's just they make it out of like the burlap sack stuff. Like, you go get a T-shirt for a boy, and like in 3 minutes, it's starting to peel apart, and you're like, what the hell? Like we just,
Because they know what the boy's going to do with it. It's going to run into the yard, and it's going to tear it up anyway.
It's like shoes. Like, Cooper, he is like he wears out shoes like a tire. It's the most unbelievable thing.
Yeah.
Like I bought him these shoes, and what's crazy is he hardly wears shoes. Like even his brother is like, he has some kind of genetic, like something with his feet, because it'll be July, he'll walk out in the street, walk around like he's not he's just like
hooves.
Yeah, he's like, what's wrong with you guys? It's like it's 120 degrees in the road, and he's like, like you're just like, he's just got
got tough feet.
Yeah, he's got he goes barefooted everywhere.
Yeah.
And it drives my mother-in-law crazy because she's like, he's going to stub a toe. And I'm like, hadn't done it yet. I mean, he's
better at it. We are.
Yeah, it's like he's barefooted all the time. And, he used to ride his little dirt bike barefooted. And I'm like, you're going to rip your foot off. It's going to get caught in the chain. And he's like, huh? But, yeah, the quality of materials, it's just so much better for girl stuff. And I think it's, there's more thought and input put into it as opposed to like some boy T-shirt where it's just like dirt bike.
Right. That's right. They're just trying to cover their bodies, where girls are looking for a special look, maybe.
Yeah.
But no real outstanding. I know they're there, but I just have to think about it. I'll come back with something.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to take a break.
Yeah.
So we can come back and do the tasting, and that'll probably wrap it up.
Okay.
So.
You've been at this for a while, haven't you?
Yeah. You want to?
Yep. Let's take a break.
All right.
We'll pause it. Hey, it worked. So we're recording again.
All right, back at it.
Back at it.
All right, so keeping the tradition alive, Cooper story and a bourbon tasting. I think last episode we talked about Bullet Bourbon.
Yep.
This episode we're going to talk a little bit about Buffalo Trace. Good bourbon.
Future sponsor, hopefully.
Yeah. We'll have to kill that Joe Rogan guy. Buffalo Trace will sponsor us instead. And we're going to have to do it from a very far distance because he seems like he can handle himself.
With weaponry, yeah.
Well, and his hands.
Yeah,
he's like jiu-jitsu, taekwondo.
He's only like 5'5", so but he's probably faster. I would still want his hands on me.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see him move faster than a 308 round. We love you, Joe.
That's right. You're my man. So, my first taste. I like it, but it's something it's different from what I've had. What you seen what I was drinking the other day?
Yeah, I saw a photo of what you were drinking. We won't talk about that.
So this difference is a good thing.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I don't want to drink a bourbon, especially like a sipping bourbon. And this is usually my college game day routine. Like I get up, try to do the honeydews before. I used to watch College Game Day. I don't really have time for that other than a Nick Saban telling Kirby Smarty's bullshit. But, once a game comes on, and we've talked about our allegiances, South Carolina's playing, especially this year because they're winning games, but it's total chaos.
Yeah.
So I'll have me a little sipping bourbon, but I don't want one that, I feel like I'm going to have to, drink milk afterwards because my throat's on fire.
Yeah, this one doesn't burn.
So it's nice, smooth. It's got good flavor. But I told you we weren't going to get into the, does it have notes of vanilla or anything like that? But it's
good.
It's a good bourbon that I could drink sipping on and then have with a dinner. If I'm having a steak or something, I could have this.
But you qualify this one as, to review our ranking system or your ranking system. It's neat, which is the top of the line stuff. No ice, no mixers. Then you have this, which we have on ice.
Yeah.
So we're kind of, this is not the
You can drink Buffalo.
layer,
you can drink it neat.
Yeah.
But the ice, for me, just gives it that perfect little. And there's probably some bourbon hoity-toity person that's like, what an asshole. Buffalo Trace is fine neat. And it is. It's fine neat, but it's not.
Like ice.
The next episode, we're going to try some Bookers, and you're going to see a significant difference because we're going to, if you put ice in that, you're walking out of here with,
I'll never
stubs.
be back.
So, and that is, and Booker's is still on the low end. We're not even talking about Pappy Van Winkle or anything like that. So, but it's a good sipping bourbon.
Yeah.
It's one that you could drink and, you can order it at a restaurant and people aren't like, what a cheapskate.
Look at this retard.
No telling what it costs in a restaurant, but mid-range price.
Yeah.
It's not bad. But the distillery that makes it, they make Eagle Rare, which is another good one. Blanton's, which I got to go get a bottle of that because we're going to try that. That's one of my favorite bourbons. They make 3 or 4 different bourbons, but
You have to send me to the store to buy something. I can't just be.
well, you bought the electronics, so
I get a couple passes.
yeah.
And we'll get Lance down here. He'll participate.
Yeah,
He's the one who
absolutely.
bought that. What was that? Angel? What was that?
Oh, Angel's Envy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's somewhat of a connoisseur as well. Yeah, it was pretty good too. I drank it on ice. I think. I didn't see how much he paid for it. It was just no. I think actually that night I bought Maker's Mark. I showed you a bottle of Evan Williams, but it was Maker's Mark, which is pretty good too. I can drink it on ice.
And there's bourbon drinkers that do different things. Like my grandmother-in-law, she doesn't like ice, but she likes a little shot of water. So bourbon and water.
That's kind of the same thing. The ice melts and kind of dilutes a little bit. So,
but like I said,
cold.
In the wintertime, especially today, because the weather was very pro fat guy. I wasn't, which I'd worked out before our podcast, so I was still a little bit sweaty, even though I had taken a shower. But I drove to go get us some loaded teas from Sterling Nutrition, Jimmy Buffett's, go visit Angie and Stacy and all of the other employees that I don't know their names. I'm going to get in trouble for that. But yeah, it's good bourbon, good sipping bourbon. I've got it in my little decanter because I think I'm more polished than I really am. I think it just looks fancy on the little.
It does. I'd love to have that.
Yeah, that's the mini bar.
Yeah.
When we get off the episode, I'll show you the real bar.
Oh yeah.
So,
I
but
can't wait.
it's good bourbon. It's good sipping bourbon.
No, good choice. Good choice.
Any other comments?
No. Another long conversation. It's a good one. I'm a little more comfortable this time around. It's weird sitting anywhere with a microphone in front of your face, but I guess practice makes perfect, maybe.
And for the next episode, those that run HOAs,
Yes.
be aware because we're coming after
We're
you.
putting you on blast.
Yeah.